Um, no, it's just like there's just nothing to watch on YouTube, really. It's all kind of just like mid. I did get this interesting email yesterday, chat. I did get a very interesting email yesterday that came from this guy. Uh, that essentially it's a very long email, but it was eventually about eventually it was essentially about the San Francisco race and Hassan. And the person who made this video just kind of sent me this email asking me to watch this video about Strike Guy. I'm like, I don't really know who this guy is. And he has like 60 subscribers on YouTube. But like his email's actually not like a terrible email. Sorry, hold on. Or else I can't hear my own videos. Did you press the video for screening? I didn't. I watched the first second or two. And then the email was like, I understand why the email was written. And I think it's interesting in the context of a tweet that I saw yesterday. Which was essentially this tweet. Here. This tweet. I don't know if y'all saw this tweet either. Also, there's also stuff with Abdul El-Sayed, where there's new Apple research. Apparently, that he's like not a physician, and so people are like he's a faker and a scammer and a grifter, or whatever. But that can go on the docket, you know, it can go on the stack. But it's essentially, I don't know what he is. There was just like people being like, I saw somebody replied to a Hutch tweet that I had to click on and just see it because I have Hutch blocked. I was just like, ooh, this isn't a good look for Abdul here. Because apparently, like, he called himself a physician in his like autobiographical like bio, and people were like, it's actually against the law and illegal to call yourself a physician if you're not actually a physician because you never actually practiced medicine or whatever. And so we can get into that. That's like the new thing that they're trying to hit Abdul with, which is just kind of like he has a doctorate. He's a doctor. Yeah, but he's not a physician because technically he never practiced medicine. So him calling himself a physician in his autobiography is actually illegal and against the law. Listen, I'm just telling you what the new discourse is. All right. I'm just telling you what the new discourse is. All right, so here, like, this is apparently what the thing is. Let's see, where does he call himself a physician? Dr. Abdul El-Sayed is a physician, epidemiologist, educator, and a former city and council health director. So, like, I guess people are taking issue with the term, like, physician being used here. Like, that's, like, spun a new discourse or whatever. There's also another thing about, like, a song getting yelled at on Twitter for laughing at a dude, which is kind of funny. So we'll look at that as well, because I think that's interesting. I don't know if y'all saw this. Also, apparently the Fox News section isn't real. Like I told you it wasn't. But y'all came in here. Y'all came in here and were yelling at me like, no, it's real. It actually aired on Fox News. You didn't check. You didn't look. You didn't look. Coming in here all confident stuff, being like, oh, this was a real. I was like, no. You did that for real? No, I didn't. I said, no, that's not true. And people were like, no, I did. I saw it myself with my own two eyes. And I was like, that would be crazy. That said, let me believe that it's real. Because I think it's hilarious. But someone's like, no, it's real. I promise. I saw it with my own two eyes. And then it turns out that it's not real. Like, confirmed. I'm like, then why were you saying that it was real? You didn't even check. Didn't even look. Didn't even do the effort to just go and look at Fox News like the rest of us. Gosh darn it. This looks like a picture you would take at like the Getty Museum, you know, with like the wax figurines. So was it Michael Reeves?
I'm not gonna.
Chad, they're leaving room for Jesus. You know what I mean? Not when you're dancing during prom, and the teachers are like, "Leave room for Jesus." They put that's what's happening here. They pushed them apart.
Okay. I'm not.
He's a wizard. It's crazy.
I'm not gonna. Is that Harry Potter? Yeah, that's Harry Pooter. That's crazy. Bro, he bullying you? Yeah, no.
So, such like one of the Abdul El-Sayed critics on Twitter profiles, and he burst out laughing. Back in high school, when the only money I had was coming from Christmas and birthday presents, I used it to send money to a man who I honestly thought would be a good impact on the world. Now the same man is mocking me for my appearance years later. What a world we live in. 7-month sub. Honestly, this is the exact kind of sub that you would expect to be a Kamala Harris stand, to be fair. You know what I mean? It's like that was a meme, like a 9-month subscriber. It was a whole meme. You know what I mean? But this got like 8,000 likes because you had like Destiny boosting it and stuff. Like, yeah, isn't Hassan such a bully? What do I feel bad? I mean, you shouldn't. He said Kamala Harris 2028. That like killed any. This tweet itself. I wonder if this tweet's still up now. I need to check. No, yeah, it's still up. Anyway, Kamala Harris 2028. So, like, I mean, I respect that he kept it up. He was like, nah, I stand by this. You know, 10 toes down on Kamala Harris 2028. I want to be mocked by thousands of people. I mean, like, you know, that's kind of the state of the internet at this point, you know? Should he be mocked for his appearance or whatever? No, obviously not, or whatever. It probably doesn't feel good. But I don't think that you could, like, I think I saw a Hasanabi Productions post about this. He's posting like pro Karen Bass stuff. You know what I mean? Like, this person is an unserious man. Yeah, I saw this Hasanabi Productions post, which kind of encapsulates it. You've been tweeting nonstop about a song for months. You finally because in your profile, and now you're crying like a victim. I mean, that kind of, yeah, that's kind of the take too, as well, right? It's like you can't, like, if you are a small creator or a Twitter post or whatever, right? Should a big creator give you any attention? Probably not. But if they do give you some attention, You can't then cry and then pretend to be victimized by it. Because you were lobbing shots consistently. You were asking for the attention. Like, you were doing that. So, like, you can't... Like, he's tweeting at Hassan specifically. When Hassan clicks on his profile and does a little haha, it's the problem now. Now it's just like a, wow, he's mocking me for the way that I look. I just don't think you can do that. I don't. It would be one thing if you're just like... It'd be one thing if it was just like a substantive critique or whatever that somebody was just started to like, what's the word? Like, the ad hominem. If you were just like, I don't like that you did this thing, here's my evidence of it, and somebody was like, haha, you look ugly or whatever, that would be one thing for a big creator to like bully a small, personality over. But like, you can't like dedicate your entire profile to like, hating on a person and then get mad when that person responds to you. Right? Like, will this be a wake up moment and be like, maybe I don't like this attention. Maybe I don't like the attention that I'm receiving right now. Maybe I should step back from the internet and not like continue doing this thing. Right? If he had that wake up, I would say people should leave him alone. If he actually went through that awakening, right? If he like deleted his profile and then left, I don't think people should like harass him in public for like this picture or whatever. But if you're gonna continue to be like, I still hate Hassan, let me just keep posting anti-Hassan content, there's only so much I can say people can't or shouldn't criticize you for, or laugh at you for. Right? Because you're doing that to somebody that you think is like, a valid target. You gotta accept it when he comes back to you. That's kind of it. Anyway, we'll get more into this later on. I'm gonna change my mind on Hassan over this. I mean, yeah. I do want to... I don't know. Should we... We can get into the Saikat Discourse. Because, also, yeah, there's like an Animal Farm thing. We'll put that on the... The Xavier Becerra versus Tom Steyer discourse is heating up on TikTok. I honestly don't really care. Like, I don't think either candidate is, like, good. You know what I mean? Vote for whoever you want to vote for. You feel me? They both have their issues. I will say, I think in, like... I think there's reasons to dislike. He said I'm done with Kylie. I mean, kind of a little bit. And there's good reasons to dislike both of them. Right? Even just like I told this to Tom like directly. Is that billionaire label is gonna be a stain on him for some people. Like, people are just not gonna like it. And that's something that he has to eat. So if you don't like him because he's a billionaire, you gotta eat that. He has to eat that. Like, and that's what he has to accept. And if he continues to like do good work, if he gets elected, and actually is a class traitor, then like, do I think he'll actually be a class traitor? Like, definitionally, not really, right? I think he may like tax the rich to a certain extent, but I don't think he's gonna like, actually advocate for the eradication of like, the billionaire class holistically. You feel me? It's funny that they're all pushing Xavier as if he's ready to he's a progressive champion. Yeah, I think that's also silly. Like, he also has his issues as well, right? He's just not a billionaire, so if people feel better about supporting him because he doesn't have that billionaire title or label. Right? It's not like he's a progressive champion, but that's that. The strikeout race is actually a little bit more interesting to me, just because, like, I have heard actual genuine discourse from like leftists and the DSA about this specific race. And it's very interesting because I don't know if I want to watch this video. It's literally like a very small YouTuber, and the title of the video, I'll say the title of the video, like it's funny. The title of the video is literally, "Is Hassan Piker an agent of the oligarchy?" And it's just talking about Shrek being an abundance, like, liberal, and whether or not he's actually progressive. I don't know anything about him. Is it a hit piece? I don't think it's a hit piece per se, but I think it's actually, it might be. Actually, I didn't watch it, but there are real critiques about Shrek that I've heard. Right? People say that I think this video might touch on. Right? And this tweet also touches on it, right? Is I want you to sign that he can't get the DSA to do something about Shrek, and I'm literally the co-chair of the chapter. He's never reached out, and Shrek has said to my face that he isn't seeking our endorsement. Classic getting mad at the DSA should do something, but also not understanding that you need to do some work to actually make it happen, not just dream it into existence. DSA SF won't do this thing because this thing nobody asked him to, and also won't endorse someone who said he isn't seeking their endorsement. It must be because of housing politics. Right? Like, I think that's fair from an outside perspective, But to be fair, I didn't see what Hassan said and what they're referring to here. Right? But this is what I've heard about Shrek specifically. And that I'm not saying that he's like a bad candidate, but I have heard that like he just isn't in the community of San Francisco. And I don't think it's unfair for people to be untrustworthy of somebody that they don't see in their community, right? I think that's fair. But I don't know much about him. But I have her Discord. So I am interested to do a little bit of a deep dive. Just to see if the discourse has any validity. Because I genuinely have I don't live in San Francisco. I don't live in San Francisco. There's no arguing that he's a tech bro. Yeah. But like, again, he could be a tech bro with a purpose. Right? But like, I don't know, if anybody has a timestamp of Hassan talking about this from 2 days ago or whatever, I'll take a look at it. Right? But I think it's fair that, again, if there's, especially because there is, and I know there is, interpersonal beef between Saikat and the DSA. Right? I think it's fair for them to be like a little bit hands off of that dynamic. Tech bro with a heart. Let that start there and then go 2 ways. If you live in the Bay, chances are you're a tech bro. Yes, but like, again, as I say with everybody, there has to be some demonstration of change, right? You can't just appear or operate with the right positions and then expect people to just trust you based on nothing. You know what I mean? That there has to be some work being fun or being done. Right? So I am slightly curious. Because this person did ask me to look at this. I feel like he will lose and Scott Wiener is gonna win. I mean, that's what I said a few weeks ago, just purely based on how fractured this has caused the San Francisco like progressive space, right? Because if you have like Connie Chan and Saikat and Scott Wiener all running in the same in same race. Like it seems like it's not. You might have like a cat kind of situation going on a little bit. Other criticism specifically of Hassan I've seen is he favors Right Guy because he knows that he knows him and he hasn't given Kanye a chance. I haven't seen that criticism. I think that's fair per se. I don't think it's like malicious because like, I mean, if I knew a person and they were a good politician, I would also support that person. You know what I mean? So like that does make sense to me. Right? All right. Chan also sucks. But Kanye endorsed by Nancy Pelosi when she refused to say it's a genocide. That may also be true. Right? But it's like, I don't know what's a good analogy to put it in. I don't know. I don't think like the DSA is like, or at least this chapter of DSA is like specifically like we want Kanye Chan to win specifically. It's more of like they just don't trust that Short Cat when he gets in will like actually be a. I think it's like a Grand Platinum situation, right? There is a history of shady behavior, right? In shading and being inconsistent about certain things prior to this race here now, right? I think people want that history to be addressed, right? Like, so I got not endorsing, but like positioning a different candidate instead of like the DSA candidate for another race is, I think that's a fair critique you could have and be like, I don't know if we can trust this person because of their past behavior, right? And that needs to be addressed. I think that is a fair thing to question. You know what? I am curious about this video. This video has drawn me in and attracted me. It literally has 100 views, and I'm slightly curious. I don't know anything about this. I live like a capitalist every single day, Shank. I live as a capitalist. So, okay, I live when I believe. Chatters who know more can jump in and correct the record if there is anything wrong with this. But you know, this person reached out and was like, "Hey, you want to see this video?" I'm like, "I'll take a look, see." Sugar actually took the money and invested in policy think tanks. We didn't go and kill brown people multiple times. That doesn't discredit people not trusting him. Just because he's not as bad or horrific as Grand Platinum doesn't mean that like people are wrong to not fully trust him. Like he still needs to address that, right? He needs to address the people who don't trust him and be like, hey, I understand you don't trust me, but he also has history in your mind, right? A consistency. No, that's not how that works. You can't do a few things consistent, but also have inconsistency. The inconsistencies take precedent. The inconsistencies always take precedent over the consistencies. Because you can do the correct thing 9 times, but if you do the wrong thing 1 time, that is a marker of inconsistency, right? And that needs to be addressed, right? You can't just operate and then change your politics and be like, I'm different now. You have to address your past behavior. You can't just ignore it. And what I've heard from people who are in San Francisco is that, you know, they don't like his inconsistency and they don't like the fact that he hasn't properly addressed that inconsistency. And I think that is fair, right, for him to be expected to do.
Chakrabarti is a centimillionaire, the first engineer hired at Stripe, and he's running for Congress. But what if I told you that his voting record in the district he's running in doesn't match what his self-financed $5 million campaign would lead you to believe? And why is there such a strong push by white, wealthy leftist influencers who are outsiders to San Francisco, omitting his local controversies and framing this race as if he is the only progressive running?
Like that is a critique I've heard as well, right? To be entirely fair, right? I do know that there are issues with Kanye Chan, but like that is a critique that I've heard from more than just this person. The fair son inserts himself in all races. That's not necessarily true.
San Francisco is a complicated city. It has a media reputation of being one of the most progressive cities in the country, while also having a terribly racist history of systemically pushing out black residents and originating xenophobic, homophobic, and transphobic national policy. It's a city that has been built into the epicenter of big tech, AI, and an ever-expanding surveillance state that is inherently intertwined with the military-industrial complex and Zionist colonial expansion. Silicon Valley's tech boom ushered in a political era in San Francisco where ultra-wealthy right-leaning tech CEOs throw millions of their own money into fueling astroturf groups which appear to be grassroots but are actually propaganda arms of billionaires with the goal of pumping candidates that have their own corporate interests at heart. This has been going on for a while, but there's been a significant push in the last 5 years from the tech oligarchs successfully stripping the San Francisco Board of Supervisors to be a majority tech oligarch aligned group, throwing millions to oust any actual grassroots candidates who refuse the bidding of corporations and real estate lobbies. Now you would think that Saikat, who regularly compares himself to Zohran Mamdani, that he would be helping fight corporate power in politics, since that is a main message within his campaign.
I don't take corporate cash.
But that's not historically accurate. Oddly enough, he was not only silent during these years, but as recently as 2024, he was joining Elon Musk and other tech oligarchs in their right-wing takeover of San Francisco local politics during the last citywide election. At the time of filming, there are only 2 political actions Saikat has a track record of in San Francisco politics, and all have been in support of the billionaire class. 1. Saikat donated to Michael Lai, a network state candidate.
I think this is the one that I think get a lot of like the DSA members upset. This one specifically, I'm pretty sure.
Michael Lai, a network state candidate, ran in the 2024 election to the San Francisco Board of Supervisors to represent District 11 in California. He was pushed
District
by
11, like in Hunger Games?
Grow SF, which is a group run by billionaire conservative Gary Tan, who's a major player in turning San Francisco more right-wing.
I hate
Gary
my Combinator. This is the personal beef that I have.
Tan also famously tweeted and deleted a death threat to local politicians, which resulted in 3 San Francisco supervisors receiving death threats at their homes. When I say Michael Lai is a network state candidate, you might be wondering what that means. I'll let local journalist Gil Duran explain.
In one sentence, a network state is a highly aligned community with a capacity for collective action that crowdfunds territory around the world and eventually gains diplomatic recognition from pre-existing states. Put even more simply, the billionaires create their own countries and rule their own countries. And
I will say, so far, I don't inherently agree with the idea that just because people that aren't good support Saikat means that he's inherently bad. Right? Or at least they were aligned on certain issues, meaning that he's inherently bad. That's what I will say. So I do need, like, you know, further interrogation of like what this means to you know, come to any conclusions or whatever.
Efforts to do that all around the world, including here in Northern California. And that's what really got my interest. I wasn't paying attention to these things. It was a vague noise.
And Taylor Wentz actually has a video I think I saw pop up on Ben Shapiro. That's what it was. I was joking. I know.
I do cover, though, San Francisco politics, which is a place where suddenly all these venture capitalists, Y Combinator folks are making a huge surge to really seize power, to seize control of City Hall in the next election. And this sort of started bubbling up slowly a few years ago, but now it's become like a full mask-off movement. And this is what really got my attention, because it felt to me that they're writing books about this stuff and they have a whole philosophy behind it, but no one reading a newspaper in the Bay Area would have any idea of that. It's all a very superficial story about, you know, tech moderates getting involved. And I felt someone had to say the quiet part loud, as Balaji does, and say this is actually about a bigger idea.
To me, this is a green flag to me. I mean, that could be a green flag to you, but also it could not necessarily matter that much to people who live in San Francisco. You know what I mean? Especially like if they have beef with the rise of just the tech bro archetype in the entire city, which is exactly what the city has become. if we're being entirely real. Like, I think it's a little bit similar to like how Tom Steyer gets like heat for just like being a billionaire, right? And that's something that he just kind of has to eat a little bit, because like that is just a label that people just do not mess with, right? It's just not like attractive as a label. And so that on top of like, I assume other stuff that's going to be talked about later on, leads to like people being like, I don't really like this shortcut guy, you know? So Friday, thank you for the 35 months. You just stay away from San Francisco these days because of tech bros. I've never been, so I can't speak to that.
And they're doing it all over the world.
And it's not moderate. It seems like not a very moderate ideal at all. It seems pretty extreme. I mean, Balaji's talked about tech Zionism. Is that sort of part of this network state philosophy?
Yeah, well, there are two main ideas in the network state. One is
expensive, bro. Sorry, it's not. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. But Patagonia is insanely expensive.
you create a entirely new city that you govern, hopefully located in a country where the government's kind of weak or corruptible, so you can buy independence or sovereignty. We saw them, they've tried this in Honduras, a town called Prospera that they built. They're trying to build something called Praxis in the Mediterranean. There's a project here in Northern California called California Forever that's an effort by a lot of these same Balaji-connected people to create a new city here. So one of them is create your own country, create your own territory, rule it, a city or a state. The idea Balaji favors less is you take over existing governments through election. This is called voice. So creating your own country is called exit in the lingo of network state. And voice is when you stay and you fight and you take over a government. And that's what we see Gary Tan and Y Combinator trying to do right now in San Francisco, which is take over the city.
When called out on Twitter regarding his donation to a network state candidate, Saikat lied and said that that was misinformation. He later deleted that tweet, but still downplayed his donation and has consistently claimed that donating to Michael Lai was suggested by a colleague on the Bernie campaign, which, sure, but that also is telling that Saikat's trusted colleagues support AstroTurf candidates connected to the network state, which is practically the opposite of his messaging regarding getting corporate interests out of politics. 2. Saikat joined Elon Musk and Gary Tan on their campaign to oust a Democrat.
I do want to look at this first tweet. Okay, why did you do that to a guy running in my district who's a part of a movement that intends to be too big to fail, and they start their own country? It's absolutely disqualifying. There's a lot of overlap with this in the Grand Planet conversation. I will say with like this dynamic. Grand Planet's still worse though. I get that you don't want. I get that you don't want to vote for me, but that's fine. I really dislike this misinformation. I am not a part of any network state entity. I disagree with it. You can see if my policy platform to see what I stand for. Yeah, this is okay. This is not a good response. To be the response rater here, this is not a good response. This is a pretty poor response. Like I said, it's not a good answer. I also find you telling that you couldn't explain your actions. You tried to sandwich it with Bernie and Chisa's name in there. That you're right. You didn't say I was a part of the network state. You made a lot of tweets implying that I was in that group or funded it or tied up with it. So I just wanted to clarify that I'm not. I'll delete the original tweet. I'm not implying anything. You helped fund a network stater who is running for office. Now that's a fact. Now you're trying to spin it. Okay, right. I mean, like, it's still not like particularly like honest, right? Like, this tweet is not wrong. But again, I don't think it's like a smoking gun per se. It's just it's very politician is what I'll say, right? It is very politician, and it does kind of make sense why people in San Francisco are like, I don't know, that feels kind of weird and kind of icky, right? Because you also notice that, like, when comparing Saikat's campaign to Zohar Mamdani was not responding to like Oppo research that came out, and that's what a lot of people don't really understand about Zohar Mamdani's campaign. Zohar Mamdani did not respond to Oppo research, right? He did not go on Twitter being like, "Listen, y'all, I put African American on my." on my college application because they didn't have a spot for somebody who was born in Africa and is American as well. So he didn't do that, right? He let the policy speak for itself. And so, like, I think this actually makes it look worse than if he just like didn't speak on it really at all. But again, not like a smoking gun or whatever. That just seemed pretty clean in comparison. I mean, they did try stuff. Like they did attempt to hit him with stuff, but like he was just a lot less online. That's funny considering that he was a rapper. You know?
To the network state, which is practically the opposite of his messaging regarding getting corporate interests out of politics. 2. Saikat joined Elon Musk and Gary Tan on their campaign to oust a Democratic Socialist tenants lawyer from the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. As I mentioned earlier, there's been an ongoing effort by tech oligarchs to crush any grassroots candidates that are not aligned with protecting big tech's bottom line, but rather champion working class people who have little political power in the city.
Judge me by my motherfucking enemies.
In San Francisco's 2024 election, Musk and Tan ran politician Bilal Mahmood to unseat Supervisor Dean Preston, who opposes corporate.
This is the actual real thing that I've heard. Dean Preston's name I've heard come up pretty consistently. And I've actually also have seen some like Hassan Hostwit members like bring this up. Right, and this is kind of where like the inconsistencies, or not inconsistencies, but like the like beef between like San Francisco like DSA and like the leftists in San Francisco have with like Saikat specifically. You know?
Musk and Tan ran politician Bilal Mahmood to unseat Supervisor Dean Preston, who opposes corporate real estate. I actually went to a town hall to ask Saikat about this donation. My question is, so recently you were on Hassan Piker's stream.
Okay, I will say, respect for going outside at least. that does get a little bit of respect for me. But for going outside and actually like asking the question. So I am curious on the answer.
Where you said that between Bilal Mahmood and Dean Preston, that your housing policies align better with Bilal Mahmood. And I was wondering if you could clarify why.
So yeah, like I said, I've got basically Zoran's housing politics, right? Which is, I believe strongly in rent control. I believe strongly in social housing. At a federal level, my housing policy is largely about creating a new public financing entity to directly finance and build social housing. But I am also for like cutting red tape to make it easier to build that housing. At a federal level, frankly, a lot of that, in my view, is that the public needs to do it. But what I don't believe is that cutting red tape and zoning alone is going to build affordable housing. So that's where I think I differ from some of the market-only folks in our city. So as I in that race, like, because I did talk to Ball about that, he is also pro-social housing, pro-federal financing of housing, and pro-displacement or eviction protections. So I line up more with him.
I wasn't really satisfied with his answer. Saikat never really addresses Bilal's specific policies and definitely doesn't acknowledge that Bilal was the choice of tech billionaires. His support of Bilal directly conflicts with Saikat's "we gotta get money out of politics" campaign. And I'm tired of him avoiding the issue by pivoting to Zoran Mamdani. Also note, I am not an SFDSA, and I think this story is being spun into DSA beef instead of acknowledging that it is connected to a larger history of tech oligarchy consolidating local political power. It's very telling that Saikat donated $10,500 towards Bilal's campaign. Saikat has acknowledged that he's friends with Bilal.
I'm Saikat Chakrabarti, and I'm on Team Bilal.
And that they have worked together, but I don't see this campaign support as an isolated incident of a friend helping a friend. Given Saikat other political track records, it lines up consistently that he is someone protecting tech oligarchy and pushing for a further right-wing San Francisco. I think it's telling that Saikat sees Dean Preston, a Democratic Socialist fighting for tenants, as an adversary to his policies. In fact, Saikat
that is pretty interesting. That is an interesting question. Like, what is the line drawn between Dean Preston and Bilal specifically? I think what was wrong with this answer to the question. I mean, he didn't answer the question, to be fair. Like, he didn't outline what policies that he agrees with Bilal and disagrees with Dean Preston. Like that is a fair critique to have of his answer, right? The question is, why did you say you align more with this guy than that guy? And he was like, I align more with this third guy over there, Zoran Mamdani. You guys like that guy, right? Like that's not an answer to the question. to be entirely fair, that is not an answer. Like. So like I don't know, like I don't know what he believes on that front or that regard. Like, what does he disagree with Dean Preston specifically? You know what I mean? This is the name dropping differently after having pointed it out to me. It's just, I don't know. It is a weird answer because it doesn't answer the question of what is his beef specifically with Dean Preston and why doesn't he want to support Dean Preston, right? Like,
I live like a capitalist every single day.
Saikat's platform yet. To be fair, I don't think it necessarily needs to per se to draw an issue with Saikat as a politician. As a politician, your platform is not all that matters. Hot take, right? Your consistency also matters. The things the people you align with do also matter as well, right? Platform is important, right? I would say probably the most important thing of a politician, but who you align with, who you support, who you will align with when you are in office are things that are also important. And so they can agree with his platform, but still thinks that he has differing interests, and that can be a problem with them. You can still critique that from what I've seen. You know? Goose did RS, thank you for the 16 months. Much appreciated.
Doubled and tripled down that he believes Bilal was also a progressive option and had better housing policies.
Bilal is a progressive who will get results.
Housing in San Francisco is a very big...
Answer the question. I feel like both Dean and Bilal were progressives in that race. They are largely have the same position on tenant rights, anti-displacement, transit, social housing, climate change, etc. However, I feel like we need to figure out how to make it easier, faster, and cheaper to build an SF. I feel like Bilal has a better answer for that and a fresh perspective. I appreciate the reply. I think if you're going to successfully unite the left, progressive left, and the YIMBY center to empower, you're going to have to find a less glib response. Preston was a heroic figure that took out many of the craven interlopers. Many would accept contrition, but not this. Okay, read. I have in the past, there are two progressives in that race. I have worked with Bilal in the past in climate legislation and even did an op-ed with him on Green New Deal in California. I backed him because I feel like his policies, he was for policies I supported, and I focused on how to cut red tape on housing construction, including affordable housing as well, which is a problem in SF, not the only one, but it is one. Since being elected, he has done things to cut fees and 100% affordable housing and make sure immigration defense, state and city budget has been vocal against ICE. See, again, this is all fine. The problem with this is that it's kind of implying that Dean Preston is not doing that kind of stuff, which, again, I don't know. Maybe he's not. San Francisco chatters let me know. And that could be part of the reason why a lot of the people have issues with his answers. Because, it does kind of read a little bit like this is his friend, and he wants to support his friend. And his friend is also somebody who is allegedly supported by right-wing tech billionaires. And that's why a lot of people and progressives have issues with his support of Bilal specifically. That he knows him personally and trusts him. But again, he should just honestly just say that. Because what he's doing by saying this is he's implying that Dean Preston doesn't believe these things, right? And that's not going to win him a lot of support when it comes to actually getting support of the people who like Preston. Does that make sense? I think he's on the defensive. Yeah, I did support someone who's a little bit more right wing, but he has left policies too. Yeah. And so I don't know if there's I don't know if there's a good answer to this. Also, he did also do the Zoran thing again, by the way. Also, what is worth, that's what Zoran did and continues to do. I believe we could learn from him. What is this? Total unit attributions.
Housing in San Francisco is a very big issue that we'll come back to in a second, but first, I think it's important to note that Saikat keeps insisting Bilal is a progressive. Let's look at his voting record compared to the other Board of Supervisors.
Thank you. That's exactly what I want you to do, actually.
Courtesy of the San Francisco Chronicle.
Voting coalition on San Francisco's Board of Supervisors. Relative scoring measures how similar supervisors vote on contentious pieces of legislation from 2020 to 2025. more moderate. From the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. I mean, I think that's a little bit fair, honestly. If he's like in voting coalitions with more moderates than like more progressives, including like Dean Preston, who is also running in that exact same race.
Bilal is the furthest right that they are willing to acknowledge exists in San Francisco. Bilal has also recently co-sponsored Mayor Lurie's housing tax, which has received criticism from local affordable housing advocates. It seems the tech oligarchy got their way for real estate developers after replacing Dean with Bilal. Back to housing. Housing got their way for real estate developers after replacing Dean with Bilal.
How serious is the network state about taking power in the land in San Francisco? Me, Michael Ley, who's running a District 11 supervisor. He's also working on a network state project called The Neighborhood, which seeks to create tech campuses within a 1 square mile of San Francisco. Bilal, and then you have Scott Wiener.
Back to housing. Housing is a major issue in San Francisco as well as in cities around the world. There's a lot of money being pushed.
And again, I will say, it just, from what I've saw, it kind of just sounds like he wants to like help out a homie. Am I tripping? Is that like? It sounds like he's just like, is like, I want to help a homie out. This is my boy. I'm gonna support my boy, even though his boy might not be the most left-wing candidate, which is like, I'm not saying you can't do that, but I think it's fair for somebody to be like, I don't like that you're doing that. There's a clearly more left-wing candidate in the race. You know, like, it's not even a good analogy. There's not a good analogy because like, even for like the Zohar Mamdani race, like his opponent was freaking Andrew Cuomo and Eric Adams. So like, that's not a good analogy. But like, if there is a more progressive person in the race that people want, and you're like, actually, I'm gonna help out this guy. He may not be the most progressive, but he's my homie. So, like, did Bilal have more viability? Well, that's not what he said, though. Maybe, but that's not what Saikat said. If that's what Saikat said, then I think that would, you know, I would still disagree with it because I hate the electability argument, but like, it would make more sense, right? It's just like, I think he has a better chance of winning. I think it's just because he liked the guy. Right? And I think that it's fair to be frustrated that it kind of just turns into like, politics turns into not who has the best policies, but instead just who likes the guy more, you know? You know, like who, if you have like, you know, high friends in high places, that's just kind of like who just kind of wins, you know? And I can understand that being frustrating, right? And I don't think it's unfair to think that Saikat should at least acknowledge that, like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that or something. But he's not gonna do that because he's still friends with this guy. Here's what's more concerning to me. To be honest, it's hard to gauge his involvement though. He claimed that he wasn't involved, but then why did he donate? That's a good question. I think the first and second one are both intertwined though, you know? Because I think it's establishing a pattern that he just kind of may let some tech billionaire stuff slide a little bit if it helps out his boys. And that's not a great thing to have in a politician, to be entirely honest. Like, I think that is a fair thing to be a tad bit wary about, and that you want to be addressed. You know, like that's not great. And I think his answers aren't also great, right? But I can acknowledge that there may be a, you know, reasonable explanation for it that I think he should provide. You know? But I think I understand why some people are frustrated.
Around housing. And I think it's important that we ground this conversation in a few truths. Here's a quote from the book Abolish Rent by Tracy Rosenthal and Leonardo Velish. Securing housing doesn't mean competing just with other people who want to use it to live in. It means competing with people and corporations who want to use it to make money. More than 68% of the world's wealth is held in real estate, and 79% of that is in residential housing. In 2020, the total residential real estate value in the US, the second largest share in the world, amounted to $258.5 trillion. That's more valuable than all global equities and debt securities combined. More than 20 times more valuable than all the gold ever mined. To speak in the language of supply and demand, the price of housing is not determined just by local demand for housing, but by the global search for opportunities to seek profit. The housing...
Somebody grab me Saikat on Hassan's stream. I do want to look at what he says on Hassan's stream specifically, like what he advocates for in a like when given the opportunity. Because I am curious about what he stands for.
Market doesn't produce homes, it produces opportunities for investment. All right, now that we're on the same page that housing is not...
Zoran. I mean, he's already hit the Zoran line 3 times so far in his responses, which I do think is a tad bit of a cop-out. But I get it. Zoran Mandani is popular. You got to ride that train. I honestly, I respect that a little bit, actually.
Only a basic need, but also a financial asset that the most wealthy hold and protect, we can jump into the next section, the abundance movement, and how Saikat is connected. What's abundance?
For the past few months, news and editorial rooms have been abuzz with talk of a grand new vision for the Democratic Party. Abundance. Abundance, according to its media promoters, chiefly the New York Times' Ezra Klein and the Atlantic's Derek Thompson, is a political agenda that espouses the creation of more of everything we need, allegedly. Housing, education, jobs, energy, just to name some examples. To accomplish this, we are told, we must aim to eliminate bureaucratic red tape that has for too long bogged down production, innovation, and capital's innate capacity and desire to promote a better, more abundant life.
It's an alluring promise, if suspiciously vague and devoid of class politics. Obviously, doing more good things for people is better than doing fewer good things, right? Who can argue with this general premise? Who wouldn't want to support an agenda that's effectively the do good things agenda?
Scratch the surface, however, and what one finds isn't just a folksy common sense treatise against gratuitous red tape, but something more sinister and dishonest, something more slick and shallow. What one gets is a standard entry strategy that begins with a so vague it's incontestable hook, illogical or corrupt regulations are bad, then quickly pivots into a Silicon Valley flattering and often Silicon Valley funded political agenda, a narrative designed to blame inequality.
This is true, right? And kind of the issue with like a deregulation movement itself is that it needs to draw a very strict line, right? Like, is regulation a barrier to building housing? Sure, I guess. It is one of many barriers to building housing. Is it the chief concern that if we just remove regulation that the market will correct itself and more houses will be built? Not particularly. Does that serve the interest directly of the developers who are just trying to flood the market with more houses that they control so that they can jack up the rents and then further enrich themselves? Yes, that is also a thing that exists. So it is you have to be very, very careful about, AOC removing red tape for good reasons, like acknowledging that special interests are influencing policy. We can acknowledge this affects housing. Like we can remove regulations on the number of parking spots a place needs in order to encourage more public transportation. Yeah, we're talking about housing specifically though. So that's a little bit more of a nuanced conversation, how you get like the NIMBY versus YIMBY kind of divide.
One of these,
which my take is, I'm a centrist on it, and both are stupid a little bit. And to be fair, I think if you reduce any like political movement or ideology down to like simple, punchy terms, it's gonna be stupid. You're gonna find stupid thoughts of that entirety of the movement itself. But we'll get to this in a second. The best answer is that you're neither YIMBY or NIMBY. Yeah, and there are good YIMBYs. I haven't found a good NIMBY yet, though, to be fair. Let's be entirely real. But again, if you reduce things down to like these like punchy terms that kind of put everybody in a box of like, you're either yes in my backyard or not in my backyard, you're gonna get into like widespread like overgeneralizations about what people believe, and it is gonna sound stupid. The market, even in deregulation, will not necessarily build more affordable housing. It will go for more profitable condominiums. Yeah.
And our objectively broken political system on too much regulation and bureaucracy rather than there being too much power in the hands of an elite few.
Abundance is a book co-written by Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson. Abundance is also a movement that is funded by big tech, big oil, big crypto, and big AI, or at least the 2024 Abundance Conference was. The book goes over issues in the U.S. regarding affordable
pro public housing. Yeah, it depends. Some YIMBYs are like, they're pro public housing, but like they're also very pro deregulation to be able to build more housing, right? This is why I said there's like it's a very wide branch. If you hear somebody just define themselves as a YIMBY, it can mean a lot of different things, right? There's a big section of like the YIMBY movement that is like, we want to deregulate so that we are able to build more houses so that housing costs go down. Right? I think that's why I say both are kind of dumb, because like they're both very roundabout ways of just doing very targeted regulations, right? Instead of regulating that like you can only build a certain amount of houses in this square, this acreage or whatever. Instead of doing that, you can just regulate the people who actually own the houses have to freeze the rents, and they can't charge more than 2% increases on rents year over year, right? That's good and targeted regulations. Wrong super for not enjoying Hassan's patriotic rant last night. Someone shame me if I am. I don't even know what you're talking about, Chatter. I don't even know what patriotic rant you're referring to. What is this? That was weird. Wait, what happened to it? What? That's strange. Anyway.
Housing, infrastructure, and climate change, and points to government regulation being the problem with no mention of oligarchy. It's a movement to replace class consciousness as the central systemic issue with bureaucracy.
Chat 32 times. I know you like it when people do that. See, I know you didn't do that because I have my mentions turned on. So I can ban people who do that specifically.
Which can be resolved by cutting red tape. Critics of the book have pointed out that cutting red tape without any clear guidelines gives room for lobbyists and billionaires to extract further wealth from the working class while pandering that it's for their benefit. It's commonly criticized as a neoliberal rebrand of trickle-down economics, aka Reaganomics.
What is abundance, the abundance movement, which is the unofficial anthem of centrist Democrats?
Well, never underestimate the ability of centrist Democrats to kind of repackage the same thing and call it the new shiny object that is the future. And that's abundance. I've interacted with the abundance movement mostly as applied to housing. It's essentially the idea of creating quote unquote abundant housing by just deregulating housing and letting developers and corporate landlords do whatever they want to create as much housing as possible under the theory that it will then somehow become affordable to working class people.
Also, not to make you work, but like if somebody could also find me this clip that this person is talking about. I'm watching Asani's bitching about he can't get the DSA to do something about Saikat. I've literally co-chated a chapter and he never reached out, and Saikat said to my face he isn't seeking our endorsement. If you have that, it's from 2 days ago. I am curious to take a little peek-see and see.
Trickle down economics. So it really is just a form of blaming regulations for the failure to produce for people's needs, trying to popularize the idea that if we just deregulate these industries, that we're going to create an abundance of housing or other services that trickle down to everyone.
How do y'all know that? Did he say it on stream? Send me that clip too. I want to get the bottom of this shortcut conversation so we can put it to rest.
Doesn't work. It's never worked. All the housing that gets created in expensive cities now, unless it's regulated in some way through rent control or through social housing, affordable housing, it's all unaffordable to working class people. Ezra Klein has popularized this. He did not start it. There was Abundant SF. There are now abundance organizations. It's a political.
Okay. Give me that clip, because I am curious as like what the context of that is. Because am I crazy to say like it's kind of Shoykat's job to do that? is that crazy of me? I don't think it's. I mean, I understand why Hassan would do it because he wants Saikat to win, right? But like, You need to do your homework and watch this on straight. I'm sorry, I was touching grass. Okay, gosh darn it. I finally got my email, by the way, for Howard, so I can finally register for my classes and stuff. There are dumb regulations that slow approval processes, but that's not all they're talking about. Cutting, they want to get rid of regulations of the safe flows of building and installation. Yeah. And then again, like, there aren't many. Look, I don't think the issue with building affordable housing is regulations. Even the ones that slow approval processes and that increase bureaucracy. Right? It's kind of like the atriarch tick. I don't think that is specifically what is causing housing prices to be so high. Right? It's the fact that housing is a commodity in and of itself. That is always going to happen when housing itself is a commodity. That's just the case.
Movement of mostly neoliberal Democrats trying to push a deregulation agenda.
But it is at its core a trickle-down logic. It is a logic of, if we unleash the power of capital, we'll all benefit. Okay, and the reality is that even in the subject of housing, study after study shows that is kind of true, but it's not very significant. It certainly doesn't remotely outpace the rise.
To be fair, so is most of the country, so that's not entirely surprising.
Rents. And so they're taking this logic and applying it to everything from healthcare to transportation to, and this is going to be important, energy, because a lot of this, and we'll get into that, is about powering the so-called AI revolution, which is a very, very energy-intensive process.
As well. This is true.
That's a lot of the reasons.
Which is why I'm not surprised that people have a apprehension to like a tech bro leading the progressive movement. Again, similarly to why people have an apprehension to like a former Blackwater mercenary leading the progressive movement. It's like, I think some of it is a frustration that like these are the people that we are forced to grovel to save us, you know? Especially when you consider the fact that like these are like insanely rich people that are able to like essentially maneuver their way into these positions of power because of their powerful friends and who they know. You feel me? Plattner, Yang, 2028. Listen, Yang is a part. Whatever happened to the Forward Party, by the way? He was like, not left, not right, forward. Whatever happened to that thing? Did he just stop? He was just like, I can't give up. This is too hard.
Valley supports this movement and is funding many of these organizations.
The US has a long history of creating misleading policy language intentionally designed to confuse low-income voters into thinking it's for their benefit when in reality it's working against their interests. Regardless of if Saikat wins this congressional race, I think it's incredibly important that people stay up to date with the ever-changing language and marketing being pushed by oligarchs and designed by think tanks to trick the most vulnerable.
It actually is designed to pit working class constituencies against each other and to prevent us from realizing that the author of these inequities and the lack of affordable housing.
This is all true. I just want to know how it gets to Saikat. Like, I want to know how Saikat is involved with the abundance movement.
Of good jobs and the lack of energy is in fact due to a high concentration of wealth and the political power that implies.
You start out in 1954 by saying inward, inward, inward. By 1968, you can't say inward. That hurts you, backfires. So you say stuff like forced busing, states' rights, and all that stuff. And you're getting so abstract. Now you're talking about cutting taxes. And all these things you're talking about are totally economic things. And a byproduct of them is blacks get hurt worse than whites. Lee Atwater, 1981. One abundance red flag to look out for is a candidate mentioning deregulation and cutting red tape to expedite building affordable housing.
It might make it easier to build that housing.
Kind of passed the trickle-down test, while that's probably why San Francisco didn't get endorsed her. I will say, Connie shit isn't good. She's also not great on the, you should call it a genocide thing, but I don't think these critiques of Saikat are unfair. I know Kanye is endorsed by your favorite progressive influence that doesn't live in San Francisco, but I think that there's a reason that so many organizations are dedicated to supporting working class people in San Francisco endorse her. To be fair, Nancy Pelosi likes her. Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily Tucker Carlson likes Graham Plattner. Does that make people who like Graham Plattner bad? Inherently so? Like, I don't inherently draw a line. I hate when people do this, which is like, oh, look at who's on your side. Look, you're aligned with the Zionists. You're aligned with the Nancy Pelosi's or whatever. You know, like, I think Graham Potter is bad for the other reasons, not explicitly because Tucker Carlson also likes him, right? There are good things to critique about him. So I don't think it's just that Nancy Pelosi likes Connie Chan or whatever that, you know, makes Connie Chan bad. And it's this weird, like, campus game instead of actually engaging with people's politics, you know? I think it's silly. I thought it was less that she likes Connie and more that Nancy hates Weiner because he wouldn't step aside for her daughter. Suck it, Nancy. Sorry, I love when Nancy Pelosi gets sad and mad and stuff. Nancy says she's for abortion too. Yeah. Doesn't Connie want to fund the Iron Dome? Hey, to be fair, so did AOC like 2 months ago. If we're being entirely real. If we're being entirely, this is not a pro Connie Chan stream, okay? This is not. I'm not like writing for Connie Chan. I'm just saying that there are good critiques you can make of Saikat that I think people are not engaging with because they're doing like lesser evil voting. Endorsement? I don't endorse people, so you know. My policy on politicians have been very simple, right? I will talk about the totality of who you are and what you've done. If you've only done good things and you only say you will do good things, I will only talk about you positively. That's literally my policy talking about politicians. If you've done bad things, 50% good, 50% bad, I will talk about you 50% positively and 50% negatively. You know what I mean? Also, I think it's hilarious that we have Pizreal and Jami here, because I think you were both yelled at by Hassan in the last week for different things. Oh, you got banned? I think I saw your clip on Twitter. I was like, oh, I know that chatter. I didn't see you got banned. I don't even know what you said. I just saw the clip and I was like, I know that chatter. Then I just scrolled because I didn't care enough to litigate it. I said he voted for genocide era and it was bare minimum not to. Oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
The thing is, like, I don't know enough about abundance. Abundance is neoliberalism with a new coat of paint. That's what it sounds like from everything that I have seen, all the bits and pieces that I've seen of the book. But like I said, I haven't read it. I have not read it. So I don't know. I don't know enough. I don't have an opinion on it. Other than a lot of annoying people have defended it.
Even some people on the left, which I think a lot of them are in good faith, it kind of seems like a way you can have an intervention, especially at a local level.
To be fair, this is like from like last year, I think. I'm pretty sure it was from last year. 2025.
There is a lot of incumbent interest who do stand in the way of social development. It becomes a kind of way, oh, this is an easy way to build a coalition. Because, you know, they're being funded by Dustin Muscovitz and by Stripe and by Facebook and Meta and the Zuckerberg Chan Foundation and Nate Friedman of Microsoft. All the Silicon Valley money is suddenly starting to like fund these groups that say,
wait,
well,
is
we
it?
need to build more. And
happy birthday to the Hassan
like
have defended it.
It is. Oh my goodness, dude, you're right. It was May 14th. Sorry.
Facebook and Meta and the Zuckerberg Chan Foundation and Nate Friedman of Microsoft. All the Silicon Valley money is suddenly starting to like fund these groups that say, well, we need to build more. And again, if you're someone who wants more social housing, that would seem like a necessary step. But much of this is really obscuring the broader class dynamics at work, which truly are in many ways incumbent versus non-incumbent real estate.
All right, let's not debate about whether or not it was right for Hassan to ban Pizreal. Like, Pizreal got banned. I'm not surprised it got banned. Like, you can agree or not agree, but like that, I'm like, that makes sense. Why he banned you?
Interests. It is about.
I'm not reading about the cards.
currently are rich and live in places and people who are more rich and want to develop in those places. Pretty much all poverty is about the misallocation of resources. It is fundamentally a political problem, not one of, are we overregulating daddy capital?
Cutting red tape and deregulation are abundance terms designed to be intentionally vague and benefit those with the most capital. Maybe there are some circumstances where cutting red tape and deregulation makes sense, but the key is what red tape and what deregulation. Abundance is
I have it. Chatter gave it to me already. It's right here.
DSA SF chapter leader trying to beef with you on Twitter. Yeah, I already followed them. I'm gonna talk to them. Don't fucking get involved.
Okay, okay. I will say, what is wrong with that chatter? Trying to beef with Assad on Twitter. Like, this is like, I'm sorry, this is substantive critique. This is not someone trying to beef with Assad on Twitter. This is substantive critique. This is somebody who lives in the city, who drew issue with the way that Assad was covering an election that's happening from like that district. I'm sorry, that is substantive critique. This is not just like somebody trying to stir up drama. This is politics that affects real people's lives. They are right to, you know, to like a candidate and not like a candidate. Like, that's stupid on Strike Out refusing to meet the local is stupid. And we talked about this. We literally talked about this here like 2 months ago. It's I don't know why, right? But like, you're not, like, people who are not from the district cannot vote for you. Like, you need to win support of the people in like the place where you're trying to win. Like, that's, and so that's why I said it before, which is like, I think he should go to the DSA and address the DSA. And if he's not trying to look for the DSA's endorsement, I think people are right to not support him or whatever. Right? Again, it's a primary. Like, I think it's a primary. I'm pretty sure it's a primary. Getting on Connie, but never talked to her and say I have no beef with her. I haven't seen his coverage on Connie, so I literally can't speak to it.
Intentionally vague to be used as a Trojan horse to advance changes that benefit big lobbies while claiming that they are for helping working class people.
In 2024, the libertarian think tank Niskanen Center published a blog post framing abundance as a centrist alternative to the quote-unquote extremes of the left and the right, using much of the same rhetoric as Third Way. Here's an excerpt, quote, "So far, the factional energy in both parties has come from the extremes, which in the short term has exacerbated polarization. New factions, however, may be emerging to complement those at the polls. In fact, the factions of the future may organize themselves on an entirely different axis from the politics of the past, activated by new issues as well as their alienation from their more radical co-partisans. The abundance faction, capital T, capital A, capital F, will enter the battle for the future of the Democratic Party by initially organizing 3 core groups. Number 1, intellectuals and activists motivated by different set of issues than those that have animated our politics over the last 50 years. Number 2, a segment of business alienated from a radicalized Republican Party and drawn into the abundance faction's congenial policy agenda. And 3, socially moderate and economically activist growth-oriented voters," unquote. Now, if you're wondering what economic activist is, which is a really interesting economically activist.
Growth-oriented.
It means someone who's pro-corporate policies. This is all pro-corporate schlock. The Niskanen Center is funded by a who's who of abundance funders, namely corporations like Google, energy groups like the Energy Foundation, and more importantly, Arnold Ventures of John Arnold, who was a former
Enron guy.
guy.
The tweet was talking about. Okay, we'll get back to this in a second.
Densely packed, the most populated part of the problem, right? In any case, yeah, San Francisco is literally the incubator of the titans of California politics, and it has always given us dog shit politicians: Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, and Nancy Pelosi.
I live like a capitalist.
Okay, these are all San Francisco politicians.
We have the 14 months, which appreciated.
To change that.
He's not a socialist, so you never get the endorsement. If he makes to top 2, DSA will just recommend the lesser against Scott Wiener. Both him and Connie know that.
Okay, we have an opportunity to make a real fucking national impact, but I can't get DSA and all the San Francisco leftists to listen to me. Even fans of mine that are, normally very open-minded to the things I have to say. And Dianne Feinstein, that too. Oh
I'm going to be thinking about 25 months.
My God. So, Sean the Black says,
like, okay. Someone cool thing for the 8 months. I don't know. I disagree with Hassan on this. Like, just that, like, I felt this way when with Kamala Harris. Like, it's the candidate's job to, like, position themselves as the best choice to the people who don't feel like they are, right? Saikat needs to talk to these people. He needs to talk to them. You know what I mean? He needs to go there, and he needs to engage with this. Like, he needs to do that work. That is, and if he doesn't want to do it or can't do it, then, like, I don't know if he's like a qualified politician. This is like bare bones issue number one. Like, he being good on like national level policy is good and all, but he's still the politician representing his constituents in San Francisco. Like, that is, he needs to be San Francisco first, basically. Like, he needs to talk to the people who live there, because those are the people who are going to vote for him. People had this same critique for Zoran to meet with black voters too, right? Or am I making this up? That was my take. This is my take on everybody. I think you should talk to the people in your district, right? Engage with their concerns and try to convince them otherwise, right? He did go there, apparently, like, to tell them, I don't want your endorsement. You know what I mean? Unless you're talking about Zoran, in which case, then, like, yes, he did. But, like, Saikat did go, no, Zoran, okay. Yeah. Then you're correct. He did that. He did that incorrect. But, like, Saikat was, like, apparently went to DSA and was like, I don't want your endorsement. I'm not seeking your endorsement. Right? So, like, I don't know. Like, that's just a weird thing. And then, like, I don't know if we can be surprised when, like, all the local organizations are like, listen, this regular guy has a lot of good policies, but, like, I never see him. It's like when you ask your professor to bump up your grade, and your professor's like, dog, I've never seen you a day in your life. Like, in my life, sorry. Like, this is the last day of the semester. I've literally never seen you. It's like, yeah, your grades are fine. You have an 89, but, like, why would I give you the 90 to get you to an A if you've never come to class? You never participated in the discussions. You never actually put the work in to actually act like you cared about what's going on here. So why should I care about you? Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of like that dynamic. Right, and I said this months ago. If you're watching me, you would know that I literally said this months ago. It's like, I think he should talk to the people local to the community, because I had a lot of people from San Francisco coming here be like, I'm from San Francisco, and I don't really like this guy because he seems fake. He seems fake. He seems he's not a part of the community. He's not local to here. He doesn't care about what's going on here. Right? Not being like, I love Connie Chan, she's my favorite or whatever. Not being like, I'm going to go vote for Scott Weiner. It was just like, I don't know this guy. I can't like, put my weight behind him because I don't know him. He doesn't go here. And that he needs to do that work to do that. And it's a tad bit strange, not on Hassan's part, but on his part, that, like, Hassan is doing that work for him. You know what I mean? Like, Hassan is reaching out to this person, trying to connect about Saikat, to try to convince the DSA to, like, endorse Saikat. Like, what? If you can't even do it's like your mom calling your professor being like, hi, yes, my son is in your class, your 8 a.m. class. He's never shown up a day in his life. But can you bump up his grade, please? You know what I mean? Like, Like that's your job. It's your job. It's your job to do that. Right? It's your job as the politician to do that work. And again, he should have been doing that work months ago. He shouldn't have been waiting for a month before the election to start doing this work. Like, he should have been doing that work months ago. Right? But if he loses, do you know who's going to be blamed? The DSA, who he said he didn't want the endorsement of, right? All these local organizations who he didn't even try to court are going to be blamed for him losing and Scott Wiener being the freaking candidate or whatever. Hate Cali politics so much. It's all backstabbing, betrayal, deception and betrayal. Nobody wants to work. I do the work and they ignore good politicians like Ray. Yeah, yeah. I just don't get what he's trying to prove by pushing the DSA away. Expanding your support and resources from passionate people willing to organize is critical. Have you considered that he just doesn't really like the DSA? That's entirely possible. I think a lot of people like project onto these politicians that they believe exactly what like you believe or that we believe, right? He could just like not like the DSA. He could like just not be a socialist. You know how like Graham Plattner is like, I'm not a socialist. Don't call me a socialist or whatever. Like it could just be like that. He could just like not believe in that. But like the left is always expected to coalesce behind somebody who is like the lesser of two evils or whatever, or three evils. Cause like we are too passive. I saw a tweet. I'll see if I can find this tweet. I saw a really good tweet saying this. Oh, where's it at? This one. You can also be a socialist and just not like the DSA anyway. That's true. That is true. But this tweet. Starting to consider the possibility of an AOC 2028 campaign could be the end of the DSA as a political project. This person said that we're here almost a decade into the modern DSA talking about AOC making the decision to run and the DSA making the decision to endorse instead of the DSA making the decision to run is the real sign of the end of the DSA as a political project. This is exactly what I've been saying. This is exactly what I've been saying for months. For months. The left is too passive. Way too passive. We shouldn't have even allowed a freaking Graham Plattner or whatever to like come up that we have to be like, oh no, oh, do we have to endorse this guy now? Oh, he's the only option. Do we have to endorse him? We shouldn't even be in that position in the first place. We shouldn't be in a position where like we're like, oh, is AOC going to run? And if she does run, do we have to endorse? We should be leading the charge, being like, this is our candidate. This is our candidate. They play ball, right? We are setting them up to be the candidate. We are too passive by just letting people just exist and then being like, I'm here now. And then they're like, oh, I guess we have to endorse this guy because there's nobody better. And then we end up doing lesser evil politics again and again and again and again. And we're no better than the liberals. That's what it means to do organizing, right? Which is what I was getting so mad at that chatter from last stream about, right? Which I kind of want you to see they unfollowed, right? But like, that's exactly what I was getting so mad at that chatter last stream about, right? You can't just like wait for electoralism to happen and be like, oh, shrug, that's whatever. I guess we have to support this person or this person or this person. You have to do the organization. The organization comes first. You have to build collective power because that power can be wielded and weaponized. So we're not in situations like wondering if AOC is going to run or not going to run. And then wondering if we are or are not going to endorse AOC as a wider movement or like the DSA or whatever, right? And it's the same thing with Saikat, right? Same thing with Graham Plattner. We are so passive that we are just like letting people just exist, right? We're just letting people be there and be like, all right, I'm the most left-wing candidate. Shower me with love, please. Give it to me now. We should have 50 AOCs in the chamber already come the next election cycle. Yeah, we should be putting up the AOCs. It should not be like the DSA is waiting to release their endorsement guides. It should be this candidate was homegrown in the DSA lab to be the president. This is the DSA presidential candidate. We're putting this candidate up. That's what it should be. But we are so passive that we just let people dictate their own policies. And we just are just like, oh, I guess we're coalescing around this person now. This person's the lesser of two evils. Oh, this person's better, but this person's more electable. I guess we're around this guy now. And that's it. Have there not any big test polls asking people whether they vote for between AOC and Trump? Not recently per se. There's most of the polling now is about Democratic contenders. For 2028. They do the bare minimum and expect us to vote for them despite their horrible past actions. It's become the norm. Exactly. And we just fall for it every single time. Every single time we fall for it. We fall for it. Because we're so insanely passive. We wait for the next centimillionaire or billionaire or multimillionaire or whatever to come and then present themselves to us, right? And then expect praise for it. Instead of us actually doing the work to build up this power locally. You know what I mean? We should be cultivating hardened. If the DSA was an actual organizational structure or had actual organizational structure, it would be, this is a DSA candidate. You're not straying from the DSA line, right? You're not well, I am a part of the DSA, but I can also you don't get to do that. It's, you are a candidate for the DSA party. You will run on the DSA line based on the lines that we that we decide. There would be no, well, maybe we should give Israel some weapons, Maybe that's okay as a DSA candidate. That wouldn't exist. Right? If you do that, you immediately no support. Your support gets yanked because we would have 50 bajillion people after you to take your spot. That's what it means to actually be an organization, right? To have organizational power. Right? And this is the issue with all the leaders being the politicians themselves. Because they have the power. Right now, the politicians themselves have the power. Right? The AOCs and the Bernie Sanders, they have the power. They can do whatever they want. And they're kind of untouchable. That's not organizing. Question is, do they? I mean, right now they're walking around like they do. Whether or not they do or do not, that's a different question. But they're walking around like they do. Right? Because they expect you to fall in line. And in any organization worth its salt, if somebody acts in that way, right? If you have freaking, I don't know, what's her name? Is her name Nithya? In Los Angeles mayoral race? Yeah? Yeah, she wouldn't exist. That wouldn't be a thing in a normal, regular, organization. She would not be somebody being endorsed by the DSA. You know what I mean? DSA is acting more like a union than a political organization. And it's just how effective is that if that's the case? But unlike a union, they have literally no worker power because they won't even use their power to do stuff. Right? We're allowing these politicians to drag us around instead of actually putting our foot down, being no, you're going to stand for this. You are going to stand for this. It shouldn't even be I can't support Shortcut because he hasn't come to us for an endorsement. It should be, we're not supporting this guy because he's not one of us, right? We have our own candidate that we've homegrown to put in this spot. That's who we're going to support, and that's who we're going to make win, right? It shouldn't be well, he hasn't come and asked us yet. So, I don't know. We kind of want to support him, but he hasn't asked us yet. Is that power? Is it? I'm genuinely asking. I don't know. and that she's letting raise mayor run because she's greedy and power hungry. And the DSA LA has let her do it, by the way. I just want to put that out there. They are completely complicit in that dynamic. DSA is very decentralized, if I recall correctly, so would they even be able to? But then what's the point of the DSA if that's the case? You know what I mean? If you don't have any power to be able to use it, then what's the point? Cali and trash, man. Yeah, Cali is a special kind of rough because it's just like, because of the stranglehold the establishment has on it. It's so ick, you know. There's a lot of people who think that lowering the standards until they reach the least problematic candidate is a viable strategy, and that's not. Having a candidate is a worse failure. Yeah, but they don't see a better world where like they can have a good candidate, you know? They can have a good candidate. It's possible. They can have a candidate that it's actually good. Instead of having to settle for whoever just exists. You know? Like even if you like Graham Plattner, imagine having a Graham Plattner who is not afraid to call themselves a socialist. You feel me? That would be positive. That would be nice. I think that would be cool. Right? And the problem is that people like this do exist. They just get no support. Like they are in the South. They just don't get any support. DSA doesn't have power, can't get their candidates in line while voting or in office. Yeah. Normally still think that socialists are lesser evil Nazis. That's not true. That may have been true like a decade ago. That's not true anymore. To be fair, I think I'll give Bernie Sanders credit for changing that. Like Bernie Sanders has done wonders in like correcting that notion. Like that's like normies don't view socialism in that way anymore. It's not like a dirty word. I think the issue is more on the people than on the candidates there, though. Like, Americans are propagandized and not there yet. No, I mean, yes, but, like, I don't think that's necessarily changed what I was saying. It's kind of my take. Our crazy feeling ranked choice voting would help a lot. It would. But then you have the Democrats suing to keep it off the ballot in D.C. So, it's kind of crazy how the bluest state in the country still doesn't have ranked choice voting. Is that crazy? Ain't that crazy? Anyway, let's get back to what was I watching? No, this one. It's not that blue. It's still one of the bluest states in the country. I think it's behind New York technically, but it's in comparison. Like, that doesn't change what you say. I meant it as I wasn't meant as an argument, as a complimentary. Yeah. I was thinking. I was like, does that change what I was saying?
That too. Oh my God. So, YIMBYism versus NIMBYism is a bullshit framing, and fuck you. I detest the false dichotomy. You and the Democratic Party paint in blue city states. There's not a real question of development because they only care to ask what developers get paid. There's no YIMBYism with privatized options to direct pay out the rich people to run slums. See, look. You can be a lifelong fan like Nasty Chasty. 41-month subscriber. The moment that I fucking bring up the distinctions between YIMBYism and NIMBYism, I don't even like establish a position, right? I say the downsides of both, okay? Immediately, this guy goes, I want to kill you. I want to kill you with a gun, okay? How fucking dare you paint this dichotomy, you fucking piece of shit. YIMBYism versus NIMBYism is a bullshit frame.
What is blue, and that is corporate way, not in a progressive way. So, some of the worst Democrats in the country are in Cali. But like you do understand that like that is still a better state to actually win progressive seats than like, I don't know, Alabama. Like if there was anywhere in the country where the DSA could take a leading role in making sure that their candidates are the people who are like running, it is in California, right? Or New York, which is what Zohran Mamdani was, basically. I don't want to go back to this.
So I'm reluctantly rooting for Saikat, but doesn't Saikat deserve critique for this stuff too? It goes both ways. No, I agree. What do you mean? I'm telling you the process in which I work through my initial skepticism. I'm saying that these are understandable reasons to be skeptical, okay? But if you look at his policy platform, it's the most comprehensive policy platform out of any national candidacy. Out of any national candidates that I've endorsed, he has the most comprehensive policy platform, partially because he literally has operated a fucking think tank for years that is like a left-wing, radical left-wing think tank that writes policy papers, including shit like the Green New Deal, okay?
And like, again, if this is the case, I don't see why he can't talk to the DSA in San Francisco. Like I don't see why he can't talk to them. Like I want him to do that so that he can win. But his reluctance to actually meet San Francisco leftists where they are, right, is the problem. Like that's he needs to do that. That shows that he's willing to actually engage with the critique. I'm so curious of what exactly he said to the DSA. According to the tweet, he said that he wasn't looking for the endorsement. Because Sonia said yesterday he's in contact with the DSA San Francisco, so maybe something can happen behind the scenes. Maybe. And I'm curious to see what occurs. But like honestly, I don't think that's necessarily Hassan's job to do, particularly. I'm not saying that he can't do it, but because it's not Hassan's job, it's Saikat and his team's job, it doesn't necessarily assuage my concerns that he's like actually meaningfully going to address their concerns, right? Again, it's the equivalent of like your mom calling you over and telling you to apologize. You know, like he shouldn't need Hassan to like do this work to like it's like is Hassan gonna sit down and be like, all right, Saikat, now ask for their endorsement. And Saikat's like, oh, GSA, can I have your endorsement? No, you better mean it. You better mean it. Can I please have your endorsement? And they're just like, yes, we will endorse you. You know what I mean? Like, is that what's like is gonna happen? Like he needs to want it. Does that make sense? Eat it or no ice cream. I just kind of wanted to talk to the DSA San Francisco rep on stream so I can get details on what happened. I mean, we were looking at like what happened, like from this video that a viewer sent me. Right, he endorsed a more moderate milquetoast Democratic candidate over the DSA San Francisco backed tenant union backed like candidate for an election, and so people don't trust him. And like, I think that's his answer that we saw in the response wasn't fantastic. And so like, and this is the problem with like only looking at a person's policy platform, is that your policy platform literally means nothing if people can't trust you. literally, it means nothing. You can have the best policy platforms to ever exist, but if people can't trust that you will actually, like, enact it, because you have a history of being wishy, then that's kind of where the apprehension comes from. And he needs to do a better, and not even just Saikat, politicians as a whole need to do a better job with actually engaging with good faith critique. This is a consistent problem we see from politicians, because politicians oftentimes think that they are owed these positions. They don't realize that they get to these positions because people vote for them. They feel as though they are owed these positions and that people should just suck it up and vote for them anyway because they are the quote-unquote best candidate. I think politicians as a whole need to do better with actually engaging with people who have good faith, meaningful critiques on that. You know? Actually, hidden criticism they have to ignore, or they're losing. This is also why you need to organize leverage over your politicians so you have mechanisms to hold them accountable to their promises. Yeah.
He's a huge funder of a lot of these groups. You'll sort of see his name in all of them. Now, they are specifically, I mean, again, they frame themselves as business friendly, which is to say policy solutions, political movements that are not antithetical or adversarial to corporate interests, but in fact can sort of build a political coalition and a narrative that would fit well in a Walmart board meeting.
Another tell that a candidate is a part of the...
I mean, if it's coming from like an organization that you respect, like the DSA, you can kind of assume that it's somewhat good faith. Like, and also if it's going to lose you the election, then like good faith or bad faith, you kind of got to engage with it to some extent. You know what I mean?
Abundance movement is that they will mention Austin, Texas as being an example of where cutting red tape and government deregulation have been successful when it comes to building more affordable housing. Here is co-author of the Abundance book, Ezra Klein, defending abundance. Let's see how many times he mentions Austin, Texas.
Austin, for instance. You bring up Austin. Austin.
And this probably won't apply to most candidates, but one of Saikat's pro-abundance tells is his appearance on Ezra Klein's pro-abundance podcast discussing abundance. Saikat is very vague when questioned about his controversial move regarding joining Elon Musk and other tech oligarchs in their campaign to oust Dean Preston. He says he saw Bilal and Dean as progressive options and that he ultimately aligns more with Bilal's housing policy of cutting red tape and deregulation. This red flag is the biggest sign that he is simply marketing himself as progressive, when in practice he aligns with protecting his own assets in big tech, real estate lobbies, and big oil, especially given that his wife works for one of the largest law firms that protects big oil and big gas. It's hard to believe he is who he says he is, and locals' distrust of him is rational despite what new media political commentators may say. The lines between...
I don't think that's inherently unfair. Just in that I think that, especially the Dean Preston answer is just so bad because, again, the best response that he has is that he was just helping his boy. Right? He likes Bilal. He was like, I like that. He's my boy. Of course, I'm going to support him, even if he's not as progressive, because he's my boy. You know what I mean? Like that maybe can alleviate some of the pressure, but it would make no sense for like why he would support Bilal over Dean Preston specifically by saying, well, they're both progressive. But I agree with Bilal on like cutting red tape, which is just like, what do you mean by that? You know what I mean? Especially if he's more moderate about like his housing policies. That doesn't, like, if he's aligning more with like the center left than he is the left. I think that's worthy for people to be like, that's interesting, that's weird. That's not what Zohran Mamdani would do. You know? Context of the Preston thing is important. He didn't just support a right-leaning Dem. It was during a massive campaign by right-wing tech billionaires to get Preston out. Yes, he aligned with like Elon Musk and other like right-wing billionaires to oust Preston because Preston was harder on those billionaires than Bilal would be, or was. Right? I think that, again, that all is, I think it's fair critique for people to be like, I don't know if I fully trust this guy. right? And it's up to Saikat to actually communicate to them, right? I understand why you feel this way, right? But here, let me engage with your critique in good faith. Right? He has to do that work. Hassan can't do that work for him. It doesn't matter how much Hassan says, vote for this person. Right? It doesn't matter. It will not move the people in the community to actually do that. We saw it with Kamala Harris. It doesn't matter how many celebrities you had, how many influential voices you had being like, vote for Kamala Harris. She lost every single swing state. Right? You have to do a little bit of the work yourself, a little bit of the legwork to actually meet people where they are and engage with their critique. Right now, Saikat is untrustworthy with some members of the local leftist community. You have to engage with that. At this point, it's pretty late in the cycle. You feel me?
Big tech ends and the government begins are blurry, and I personally haven't seen much discussion from left-leaning commentators on this issue. I learned a lot from Professor Francesca Bria's site, The Authoritarian Stack, which I'll link in the description. The site explains how these very powerful tech companies are consolidating government power and ushering in an authoritarian tech takeover of the government. I think we should take Saikat's ties to tech seriously, and I find it alarming that some of his policy ideas are reflected in this website. Crypto sovereignty, a privatized monetary system with quasi-central bank powers, decoupling the issuance and governance of money from democratic control. Saikat has recently pushed for there to be a federal cryptocurrency, the nuclear AI complex. AI running on private grids and nuclear power. Saikat supports nuclear power and continued AI industrial development. The AI industry is currently poisoning black and poor neighborhoods in the US, providing torturous working conditions in countries like Kenya and Venezuela, and is used to expand the US military industrial complex and continue war and occupation. I think it's concerning to see so many wealthy outsiders push Saikat and frame him as the only progressive option in San Francisco's congressional race. I find it concerning when online news-like shows are spinning his local controversies to make him appear less shady than he is. For example, Hassan Piker is the biggest influencer pushing for Saikat. I casually watch clips of Hassan, and as someone that has been following this election since summer of 2025, I was surprised by his coverage. Hassan first brings up the San Francisco congressional race in January when he watches the viral clip of Scott Wiener refusing to answer during a debate when asked if Israel is committing a genocide.
Is Israel committing a genocide?
And now, Scott Weiner is running for office, running for Nancy Pelosi's seat alongside.
Was that Connie?
Saikat Chakrabarti and a bunch of other people. Now, for that reason,
is honestly great to me.
No, I thought his last name Chakrabarti. And
I mean, I think it's less of. I don't think Saikat is a member of the pro AI left. I think it's more he's more a member of the tech bro left, holistically. Which he's a tech bro that will guide his policy making. But I think it's fair to critique. Again, none of this is to say that he's not like the person you should vote for. Again, I don't do endorsements. So you can vote for, if you live in San Francisco, who you think is the best candidate, right? So he could very well be the best candidate, but you do have to understand and see the lens that he filters the world through, because that will affect his policy making, right? So if you have Saikat who's like helping approve more AI spending for government assistance or government programs or whatever, you're not surprised by that dynamic. Yes, Rokana is also a tech bro himself. I think all of Rokana's daughters are work in tech as well too. Pretty sure his AI policy is that he wants to socialize the existing AI infrastructure or something. I'll read it again. What does that even mean though? What does he mean socialize it? Nationalize it? He wants the government to take it over and then I don't know what he means by socialize it. You can send it to me as well, because that doesn't really make much sense. We're gonna watch him on Hassan's stream as well, because I am interested in seeing what he actually stands for. The future of our society doesn't have to be in the hands of tech oligarchs working people should have the say in how AI is introduced in our lives. We need real regulation written by us, for us. Read my full AI plans and my policy here. Create a publicly owned AI. Okay, and now I need to read his policies. I need to know what he means by that. Millions of new jobs. Okay, like building AI data centers. Like, this is the clean energy data center things. Okay, and now I'm curious. He's intrigued me. Where's it at? Oh. Create publicly owned AI. I will fight to launch a national AI lab that will operate independently of the executive branch, dedicated to public compute to challenges in curing rare diseases and modeling climate systems, and use publicly owned AI to deliver public services at the cost of running them. Okay, I mean, I don't know. He's a tech bro. This is a very tech bro thing. It is extraordinarily vague, but I'm curious more about this. Create millions of new high-wage jobs. AI threatens to replace a lot of work, but there's no shortage of work that needs to be done in America. That's weird. I don't know. I don't know if I like that very much. He's saying like AI threatens to replace a lot of work, but have you considered that there's no shortage of work that needs to be done? So like we can bring some of that back. we can reel some of that back. AI will take your jobs, and it's gonna happen. It's fine. But like we'll find other stuff for you to do. I'll fight to rebuild infrastructure, transition to clean energy, and put Americans to work in high-wage careers. I resurrect the Reconstruction Finance Corporation to invest in industries AI is unlikely to eliminate. I don't know if I fully like that. Establish a federal jobs guarantee, pass Medicare for all to decouple healthcare from employment. That's good. And tax the largest AI companies to fund the transition. I don't know. It's very tech bro. I didn't expect like anything great because he's a tech bro, but it kind of feels like, yeah, we're gonna kind of give up on the AI fight. You know, listen, AI will take your jobs. It's better than what most politicians have on AI, which is nothing. Honestly, I don't even think so. It's more of him just kind of giving up on fighting against AI. You know what I mean? It's just basically like, listen, AI is here. You're gonna lose your jobs. I don't know what you want me to tell you. In defense of San Francisco, maybe I'm misinformed, naive. I'm not sure this is a winnable fight in the AI capital of the world. Yeah, it's not a winnable fight because people keep giving up on it. And I do think that AI should take over manual labor jobs nobody wants to do. This is what leftist originally wanted for it originally. How else would it be fully automated space communism work? You do realize that that's not what's happening though, right? You can't say, well, in a perfect world, if you just get past the interim next 20 years, then it will be good. Like, the people's jobs are being threatened currently right now. And he's like, maybe we'll find something else for you to do. You know what I mean? Instead of like actually being like, let's just put a break real quickly. Let's halt for a second. Let's just pause, maybe. You are gonna adequately prepare for that loss of jobs. Yeah, but again, he's not. Again, it'd be fine if he says like, we're gonna pause while we prepare for the loss of jobs, so that we can actually, take care of people's like lives and livelihoods, right? But it's like, listen, AI is gonna replace a lot of work. Shrug. AI is kind of here though. China's leader as well. We need an actual solution on the far left. Let's not just say don't do it. Listen, I'm gonna be real. I don't care if China's beating us on AI. I don't care. I genuinely don't care. Literally, I can give two flying flips. Do not care if China is a leader in AI and is beating us. I would rather that Americans in America, right, are able to, survive. Even if that means us being behind on like AI research. and not just like kind of throwing our hands up a little bit. Only $10. Come on, Tom. Tom Sauer's campaign is offering influencers $10 a video to post and support on TikTok, IG, and YouTube. Come on, Tom. $10, bro? You can't even throw a few K's my way? That's less than the DNC base. It's on protection or regulations for AI. He goes into like, ensure gains from AI goes to workers and not CEOs. Massive productivity gains should give us shorter work weeks with higher pay, not more wealth for the people at the top. I'll fight to move to a 32-hour work week and then pass the PRO Act to give workers a real voice of how AI is deployed. Requires humans in the loop in high impact sectors like healthcare, criminal justice. Like, again, like, this is fine, but like, I just don't think AI should be in healthcare or criminal justice. Like, not requiring humans in the loop. AI shouldn't be involved in those sectors at all. Maybe that's crazy on my part. Maybe I'm a Luddite on that. Maybe. Right? But like, I just, again, I don't even want to know what I'll see if I look at Connie Chan's or Scott Wiener's thoughts on AI. It is San Francisco. So I do acknowledge that. Right? But it's like, I don't know. Healthcare is where it should be used, at least in medical research. That's not healthcare, chatter. That is a different thing. That is a different thing. AI being used in healthcare, it will be like United Healthcare deciding who can and cannot receive coverage due to AI. AI making that decision, right? Like medical research and healthcare are different sectors and different fields. You know? And shifting the tax system away from labor and towards wealth and capital. Also make an American AI trust so that every American shares in the wealth AI generates. I don't know. Again, I'm not saying like throw your hands up, shrug, and never address AI or whatever. But like, it does feel like a little bit like we're just kind of giving up the fight against like data privacy. Being like, listen, AI is here. It will be taking your jobs. Best I can offer you is maybe you'll have Medicare for all. So when you do lose your job, you still have healthcare. You feel me? So good looks, I guess. good luck. AI catastrophe. AI is already being used for fraud, impersonation, cyber attacks, and the next generation of systems could be enabled bioweapons or cyber attacks. You already said that. At unprecedented scale. I'll fight to create a federal AI safety administration to license and oversee the most powerful AI systems. Require frontier models to be licensed before they are trained. Mandate regular reporting to Congress on evolving risk and strengthen whistleblower protections and researchers who come forward. I don't know. It does feel like it's just giving up with the fight against AI. Instead of being like, AI should not be used to kill people, brown people overseas. It's like, listen, AI is already being used to kill brown people overseas. Might as well make sure they get the license through the government first. You know, like, best I can do is make sure they get the license through the government. Dang, if this is like how bad, like, how bad freaking San Francisco politics are, I think we're cooked. As a form of oversight, who knows? I think it's supposed to be a form of oversight, but like you realize that like Palantir already has contracts with the government. They already have oversight right? On like, you know, these like tech companies being ruthless or whatever. It's not like people are actually doing it. Let's see. Okay, it's the same thing. AI that benefits everyone. San Francisco is the AI capital of the world. The technology is being built in their backyards and will reshape every industry, every economy, and every aspect of daily life. And Congress has done nothing to govern it. The future of technology isn't up to VCs and CEOs, it's up to the people. We have the power to shape the future of this technology. We just need to use it. Scott is the first American legislator to prove that he can take on big tech and pass sweeping AI guardrails to protect the public. Now he's taking the fight to Congress. The most transformative technology in human history should benefit everybody. In Congress, Scott will set common sense guardrails on AI development and spread the benefits of AI far and wide, working to build government capacity to meet challenges and promises of AI, rein in the executive branch's uses of AI, abuses of AI, guard against catastrophe. Okay, this is the same thing. It's the same thing, bro. This is the exact same. I guess he just doesn't make a reference to Medicare for all. And dang, this is a long section though. Oh, he's into like a COSA thing as well. Bypass, protect kids from addictive platform design by passing a federal law banning infinite scroll, algorithmic push notifications, autoplay, and engagement reward loops when directed at minors, building on California's model to set a national floor for child protection online. I just think everybody just sucks on freaking technology in San Francisco, bro. That's my thought. I think in San Francisco you can be anti-AI. I know you won't care. I'm just saying that I think that's why they're framing it this way. I mean, sure, but like again, I just think it sucks. Pelosi has sort of endorsed Connie Chan. Seems like her idea is to stop Australia from coming in second and making it to November. In a rare interview Thursday night at the Asian Pacific Islander Council event in Hayes Valley, Pelosi broke her silence and gave a glowing review of Chan. A handful of Chinese speaking reporters were present. Pelosi said the prospect of electing the city's first Asian American congressperson would be very exciting. She said that she was delighted to attend Chan's Washington, D.C. fundraiser, where the supervisor was supported by labor groups, Asian American lawmakers, and women advocates. Her Pelosi have been show for a while now, if I'm not wrong. I don't know, bro. I'm trying to find out about this stuff. That's why I'm doing the research. How did we get here? Oh, right, we're watching not this video. It was this video. Because she was terrible. She had bad zoning policy and wants to give weapons to Israel. Again, so did AOC like 2 months ago. Again, I'm not a co-signing Connie Chan or whatever. Like, sure, she sucks. She's bad. But the local organizations in San Francisco are endorsing her. And Saikat needs to get on the ground and actually talk to people. People in District 1 do not like Connie Chan as our supervisor. And people in San Francisco also don't like Saikat either. So, like, yeah, you're also within a rock and a hard place, bro. See, this is exactly my issue. It should not be a situation where it's like, oh, man, we hate both of our options. This sucks. Like, the left needs to do better about actually getting people to run for office instead of just accepting whoever shows up. You know what I mean? That is the biggest L the left takes consistently. Too passive. Too insanely passive on politicians. We'll get to this afterwards. 11 San Francisco will work with Saikat's campaigns on the ground. That's not what I've heard.
The rise of art.
The leftists don't like to ride him. That's not necessarily true. The first article I pull up trying to learn about Kanye's AI position mentions the strikeout wants a society with abundance for all. maybe he's just using that word like it's normally supposed to be used. The polls show Wiener in the lead. I don't get it. Honestly, it's California. Like, genuinely, it's California. That's like the most California thing, unfortunately. Local name recognition. I mean, California is like notably bad on like. Oh my goodness! Please, can I just see this? Anyway, you can kind of see it. You can kind of see it a little bit. The Wiener is all. Wait, okay, Pelosi's also here. The Wiener's like all the way up. It's very neoliberal here. Yeah, it's California. So, California is the most fake progressive state, I swear. It's again because the left is too passive. You know what I mean? That's just kind of it. But again, I said it earlier today. I'm gonna say it again. There should not be a situation where like the freaking San Francisco DSA is like questioning whether or not they're going to like endorse a candidate. That should not be a situation that is going on. Okay, this is also not gonna work because it uses JavaScript. It's fine, whatever. Right? It should be, this is our candidate and we're gonna push our candidate. This is what our candidate is. Right? But the left nationally is too passive and then wait until somebody presents themselves and then it's like, okay, now we coalesce instead of actually building up a candidate, right, from the ground up. You know, I say go further and say that there shouldn't be a situation where there's no socialists running for governor of California. I mean, that too. I would go further and say that there should be no election where there's not a socialist running at all. But I've given my takes on that already. I think it's passive partially because it's a lack of power numbers, not in California. If the DSA has a lack of power numbers in California, the DSA is utterly powerless everywhere. It should not be taken seriously as an organization. If there is one state besides like in New York that the DSA should have power in, it should be California. Like that's an L. And it's just there's too much passivity when it comes to running people. You know? Anyway, were we watching this one?
That's the reason why I'm saying like it's a miss. It's an unbelievable missed opportunity not to fucking try to get a guy like that in office. That's why it's so crazy. And I went through this process and like vetted him through a lot of people that have worked with him directly and indirectly.
They are being subtle. I mean, sure. That doesn't mean the information is like raw. Well, this is a Sans VOD, right? My goal of watching the video was not to like find out why I should love Connie Chan. It was to figure out why people in San Francisco have beef with Saikat, which they do. They do exist. That's why I wanted to see the video, because this is a thing that is happening. That this is a conversation that is occurring, right? There are leftists in San Francisco who don't believe that Saikat is of the city, don't believe Saikat is representative of the city, believe that he's an outsider, basically endorsed by outsiders who doesn't really care about what goes on in the city. I don't understand why DSA hasn't kicked Nikki out. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. People that Saikat is just silly. Most people criticize for like no reason. I don't agree with that, actually. From what I've seen, I think that there is a real reason why people don't trust him if he's like, again, endorsing against the DSA. If the DSA has a policy of endorsing DSA candidates and he's endorsing against the DSA, I understand why the DSA would be wary of endorsing him. Because if he doesn't want to play ball with the organization, why should they show up for him specifically if he doesn't show up for them? And the DSA recently endorsed Tom Sire. Different DSAs, to be fair. Which is another problem I have with the DSA, but I'm not going to get into it. He said his reasoning why he did, but I forgot what he said. Yeah, his reasoning was bad. We looked at it. We covered it. His reasoning was bad. It wasn't good. He had a bad response. He had a bad reason. He was like, oh, well, this guy, well, they're both progressives, but like, I like this guy more. I trust him because he's cutting the red tape. And people were like, but this guy is more leftist. I like this guy more, though. It was a bad response. And I think it's fair for people to have beef. DSA's got no motion in San Francisco, then they are allowed to have their critiques. If the DSA has no motion in San Francisco, then don't cry about them not liking Saikat. I'm sorry. If they have no motion, then it literally won't matter. You don't need their support. My point is that if you want to win their support, he has to talk to them. He has to engage with the critique. Right? When you have the San Francisco DSA who is saying, like, Saikat has come to our faces and say they don't want our endorsements, right? If he does want their endorsements, then he needs to talk to them. If he doesn't, that's another thing. If he doesn't want the endorsements, if he doesn't care, that's another thing, right? But that person, the DSA, is allowed to feel that type of way. You know what I mean? You're gonna say DSA has no motion in San Francisco when I phone back and canvas people, many in my age group, etc., have nobody mentions Dean Preston. San Francisco politics, specifically people, nobody really cares about the DSA. Then it's fine. Then it's fine. Then it doesn't matter. Then they can cry and yell about Saikat not wanting their endorsement all they want to. Then stop bringing them up. That's my take. The DSA didn't bring themselves up in a situation. The DSA got brought up because Hassan said that he wants the DSA to support Saikat, and they're saying Saikat isn't asking for our endorsement. If they're irrelevant and nobody cares about them, then let them be. Let them cry about Saikat being bad and let them be dumb and their stuff. That's fine. I don't understand. My point is, if he wants I don't get why it's the DSA's responsibility to endorse a candidate. Like, why would that be the expectation? I think the DSA should endorse DSA candidates. I think I can't litigate each individual DSA chapters and what they do because like they're all like pseudo independent, essentially. But like, I think the DSA theoretically, in a perfect world, should produce their own candidates so that they endorse that candidate so that they can win. Theoretically speaking. Right? And if a candidate outside of the DSA wants their support, they have to ask for it. That's my take. That's my take. They like that's it. They have to ask for it. They have to at least pretend like they care about what you have to say. You know what I mean? He would never get the endorsement, just like Marjorie Taylor Greene would never get the endorsement, no matter what she says or does. Once you cross a line, you can't go back. I won't say never. I'm not a part of the San Francisco DSA. I can't speak to what they will do or won't do. Right? But again, my take is very simple. If he wants it, he has to ask for it. He has to talk to these people. He has to engage with these people. That's it. They don't endorse candidates that don't call themselves socialists, I think. That is a thing for San Francisco DSA specifically, right? But again, I saw another tweet from a Hot Split member, right? That I also didn't agree with, which was this tweet in response to this, right? It's like, does the DSA only give endorsements if asked? Our chapters only endorses socialists. So why would they try to talk to you all about getting an endorsement? And someone said, where's it at? Also, if the only thing DSA can do is endorse, maybe DSA can endorse them, but because they aren't socialists, sure, but they could provide a voting guide. And I'm like, yeah, why would they do that if you're not talking to them? Does that make sense? Like, people want other people to just fall in line for these candidates without the candidates doing any work on their own part. It's the candidate's job to market themselves. It is. It literally is. This is a very simple principle of politics. It's the candidate's job to market themselves to the people who they want to support. But there's just some idea that's like, oh, well, actually, you all must fall in line to support this candidate specifically because we say so. When it's like, or the candidate can actually, I don't know, try to ask for it. Maybe. Try to meet them where they are. Like, maybe I'm tripping on that. But like, it's just, I think it's the way that we talk about candidates this election cycle is so weird. It's so weird. Because it's the exact same conversation we had with freaking Graham Plattner as well. People are just so weird about candidates when you these candidates have a level of responsibility when engaging with their politicians. Like, expectation of the voting guide is part of the problem because then lack of endorsement will just lead to recommend instead. Yeah, it's meaningless. It just turns into like, you're not on our side. You're not playing ball. Therefore, you're a bad organization or something. Like that's just a problem. Right? If Saikat loses by the amount of votes that is in the San Francisco DSA, I don't know what to tell you. That's kind of his fault. It's not the San Francisco DSA's fault because they didn't mobilize hard enough for him. Like, he has opportunities where he could have done the work to try to engage and talk to the people who believe that he's fake and a phony. If he thinks that that's not worth it, that's his prerogative. Right? But it's still his job to do the outreach. You know? I feel like people believe this is their last chance at elections, so they're just blindly following. That's an interesting way to frame it. Because, like, if it actually is your last chance at an election, this election doesn't matter either. Does that make sense? If this election is the last chance at an election, this election does not matter. If we're at the state where it's either this election or bust, what's stopping them from just overturning the results of this election that's happening right now? Right, so I don't even know if that's entirely fully true. But like, that just, I don't know. People are desperate for someone to believe in, so they overlook big flaws. I think it's more of that. It's more of that. Right? And honestly, these aren't even like big flaws. These are like simple flaws that like Saikat can like clear up in a day. You know what I mean? By like just talking to the DSA, you know? He could have done this months ago. He could have sat down with them and was like, listen, I'm sorry. I didn't support freaking whatever, Dean Preston in this election. My bad. That was bad of me. Please support my campaign or whatever. You know what I mean?
Before I even that have through this process and like vetted him.
Okay, this person is saying exactly what I've been saying, by the way. Right? I'm just saying I totally get why San Francisco lefties hate him, and I think that there's if there's going to be reconciliation, it's more on him than it is on them. Exactly, because he's the candidate. Exactly. I'm in the campaign. They don't interact with the DSA because they're focused on name recognition. So I don't know why people are asking for a DSA endorsement. I don't know either. Oh, geez Louise. Was him starting Justice Democrats before or after the first San Francisco race? He should also say sorry at least. I don't know the timeline exactly. This has weird views on removing red tape on building housing. It's the same with other establishment soups. To be fair, I think that's also a fair critique. Is that like it does come across a little bit too much as like a deregulation stance. But I don't know if he's like fully an AI abundance bro guy. I think he is an AI guy, right? I don't know if he's fully abundance. I think he holds similar views to a certain extent, which is like deregulation.
Him through a lot of people that have worked with him directly and indirectly before I even got on board with endorsing him. Like a lot more thorough with my background checks than any other candidate. You know, Oliver Larkin comes in and I'm like, you're great. I love what you have to say. Let's go. Because he has the organizational.
And I'm just going to get this up. Much appreciated.
That I already appreciate. Same with Chris Rabb, right? Same with Hamawi.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of this in the video itself, which we'll get back to. Right. And again, I'm not endorsing Connie Chan, mostly because I don't endorse people. This is not me being like, you should vote for Connie Chan specifically or whatever. Right? But like, I think Saikat has a better chance. I don't endorse people. No, I'm not stirring the pot, bro. What are we talking about? But I think that there are issues that Saikat has that he can address to have a better shot of winning. I think he should address it. Because this will help his credibility in my view. Right? Because he has an uphill battle to fight against his history and past, which is like aligning with Elon Musk in like, you know, right wing or right center right like liberal Democrats optically aligning with like tech bros and stuff. And he needs to get over that hump. And it would help him getting over that hump if he actually, you know, talked to people.
These are people that have like done things that I already know. They have the background that is.
The fair guy has come out in favor of public housing, so he's not strictly deregulation abundance guy. Yeah, he's not a strictly deregulation abundance guy, but some of his answers align more with deregulation than the reason why people
it's not a secret that
don't really necessarily trust the Dean Preston stuff is because he endorsed Bilal over Dean Preston and agreed with the cutting red tape, which is code speak for like deregulation. Right, so it's not baseless. This went back with the first interview. This is where Hassan asked him about the DSA. I'll take a look at it as well. We'll jump to this now or not.
There are a lot of democratic socialists in my chat. DSA affiliates, people in DSA, both in San Francisco and all around the country. And because of the thing that we talked about earlier, where your support against the DSA endorsed candidate, like how there's a little bit of distrust.
Yeah.
Now there's probably still a lot of people who you've won over so far with your advocacy. You certainly won me over, I'll be honest. But what do you say to the rest that might still have a little bit of scrutiny given your tech?
Preston, the way before that too, I think I already saw that part. We haven't seen it here. You got time to look at that too.
Background, given the wealth that you have, how do you convince those people that you're a real one?
Yeah, well, first I'd say, you know, there are a lot of folks from DSA volunteering on the campaign. We've got folks from a bunch of groups, but like engage with me. You know, I'm trying to run a campaign that's like as transparent and open as I possibly can. I mean, you probably got like I just say what I believe and I'll answer every question. And to that end, you know, I do town halls every week. I'm doing one in every neighborhood in San Francisco. I do a voter call on Zoom. So if you go to my website, I don't ask for money. I ask for you to sign up for a voter call, and I do them every day.
I will say we did see his answer in one town hall in the other video that we started watching this from. His answer wasn't great, unfortunately.
But also, like, yeah, I've met with folks at DSA, and there's a bunch of stuff I'm going to work together with them on. I mean, I think there's going to be a public bank ballot prop in San Francisco this cycle. I'm going to work with them on that. And yeah, I'd say please engage, and I'm happy to engage with anybody, DSA or not, in San Francisco and anywhere.
What are some groups that you're trying to secure the endorsement of?
I want to get this as well.
Of like unions and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean,
and what have you gotten so far?
So far, it's been a lot of groups are kind of in the middle of their endorsement.
We can get back to that. I want to get to this part though.
Theme, who he's a Hassan Abihid who now lives in China, content creator. He's great, and you know, it definitely, because when I saw that you were as rich as you are, and also on top of that, there was an instance where I believe you had fundraised against a DSA-backed candidate in San Francisco. I had a little bit of, you know, I was a little bit worried. I mean, you seem very solid. What was the reason why you fundraised against a DSA candidate, which I believe was also endorsed by Nancy Pelosi?
Yeah, it's a confusing situation locally. I mean, long story there. Like the guy, I wasn't fundraising against him. I was backing this guy Bilal, and you know, I've known.
I mean, tomato, a little bit, but.
We worked on climate stuff together at the state.
Brown Boy Coalition?
It wasn't exactly Brown Boy Coalition. I mean, we did like an op-ed on a Green New Deal for California. But the bigger thing is like, I have the same housing politics as like Zoran, right? It's like, I think you've...
He did the same thing. He did the exact same thing. Literally the same answer. It is a talking point. He hit the Zoran line. He's like, listen, Zoran. We're the same. Him and I, me and him. Right? You like that guy, right?
We have to build tons of social housing. I think we need rent control. And I think we need zoning reform. And we actually need to make it cheaper and easier to construct, right? And in that race, he lined up more with my housing politics. So that was one reason. But
again, the issue is that he never explains why Dean Preston doesn't align with that, right? Like, does Dean Preston not agree with like freezing the rents? Wait, what are we talking about? You know what I mean? Like, what does he mean by like zoning reform? In the other clip we saw, he said cutting red tape. So like, you know what I mean? Like, his answer is not good because it doesn't get to the root of like, why did you support this guy who is ostensibly a more moderate candidate when compared to the more progressive candidate of Dean Preston? You know what I mean? He's gonna make it cheaper to build. I mean, but still, that's like a little bit wishy-washy. You know, it's similar abundance style, double speak a little bit. But it's like it's like, oh, this guy was more of like an abundance lib than the actual leftist, so I supported him because I'm actually an abundance lib, which is kind of that's a little uncharitable, but that's kind of the realm that I'm getting from his answers. It's that like, listen, I like both of these candidates, but one of these guys wants to like cut red tape and bureaucracy and to do deregulation, and I like that more, right? Because the other candidate is a more left-wing candidate from how he's positioned, right? That's the actual DSA-backed left-wing candidate. You got me?
I just want to put it
in pro-abundance. People don't like to remember that. Pro-abundance in like, in what way?
because, as you mentioned, like I'm a centimillionaire, so I do support tons of candidates and causes every cycle. So like that cycle, the biggest amount of my efforts were towards protecting people like Summer Lee and Jamal Bowman and Cory Bush, who are just getting this onslaught of APAC money coming their way. And it was also California Prop 5. I don't know if you remember that, but it was like a proposition to basically raise tax.
I saw a comment I wanted to read though. Went by kind of fast.
California Prop 5. I don't know if you remember that, but it was like a proposition to basically raise tax.
No, so I missed it. Gosh darn it. Hold on, run it back.
Jamal Bowman and
easier for who to build. Okay, that wasn't it though.
Cory Bush, who are just getting this onslaught of APAC money coming their way. And it was also...
Wait, I missed. Gosh darn it. Stop. Chat moves so fast.
It was also...
No, I don't know where I saw it.
California Prop 5. I don't know if you remember that, but it was like a...
Wait, maybe that was it. This wasn't it, but like... Your money on politics should include gross private wealth. Rich guys aren't going to save California.
It was like a proposition.
It's kind of crazy that like... you have Shrek who's a centimillionaire, and then like Tom Steyer, who's a billionaire running for California politics.
Taxes to put unleash tens of billions of dollars of affordable housing money. So
yeah,
I get, we know when you support a bunch of stuff, you don't always line up on every single one.
Yeah. Did we see that? I don't know if we saw that. I also do think that like, even if that is true, it is a tad bit difference where he like, you know, he didn't like fund against the DSA candidate running against him. So it is slightly different, but like, I don't know, but this is stupid. And it's stupid if Zoran supported it as well. I don't remember where we were at. No. This one.
No, absolutely. I have this theory that unfortunately, blue safe havens, like blue strongholds, like New York and California, have oftentimes.
No, you say it's an L if he's like supporting it. I have to read the article, right? Because if he's just like, I mean, I agree with the abundance guys and that like more houses need to be built or whatever, then sure. But like if he's like supporting like the system of abundance, that's dumb. In theory, abundance is intriguing. That's the issue. Not even really though. Not particularly, but it's always been stupid.
Created some of the most annoying neoliberals in the party that safeguard third way neoliberalism and centrism when there is so much more room to grow in terms of left position politics.
When it's quantity at the expense of quality. It's even worse than that. Abundance is quantity for the sake of quantity and at the expense of quality. So it only serves to enrich the developers. That's it. That's literally all abundance does. Right? When you just like deregulate everything and just like, just throw a bunch more houses on the lots. Why not? Right? All you're doing is you're just enriching the private equity who owns the lots and the apartments that are renting the apartments out to normal everyday people that are then doing price fixing and price leadership to raise the prices holistically. Abundance is like less than a band-aid, you know what I mean? It's really bad. It's not good. Real estate who will still sell high, build for cheap. Exactly. You need to have some regulation, but that flies contrary to what abundance actually stands for, which is deregulation. Because when they say build more houses, they want to cut the red tape to build more houses, which is deregulation. So they run contrary to each other. Which is why I don't necessarily trust people who say cut the red tape and deregulate. You feel me? That was getting cooked by stuff like this right now. Yeah. But like going back to this conversation, the problem here is not even inherently that he's like pro-abundance, which is still an issue. The issue here is that he supported a candidate that was like anti-abundance and more left-wing in favor of a more pro-abundance candidate. That's the real concern that people had with Troika. He gave money to a candidate and outspent a more progressive, right, candidate in support of somebody who was his friend, who was more like abundance coded. That's sort of what people's issue is. Does that make sense? And I think like I haven't heard a satisfactory answer as to why he did that. You know? It's just like, hey, why did you support this this more moderate Democratic candidate who you know, over this like actual leftist candidate? He's like, well, I'm kind of like Zoran if you think about it. If you think about it, I'm basically like Zoran Mamdani. You like Zoran Mamdani. Like he was lived up before, but can't admit it. Well, he needs to be able to admit it. Because how are people going to trust you if you just like, pretend like it didn't happen, you know? He should own up to it. He should say, I shouldn't have done that. The problem is that everything points to him actually still standing by that. He's still pro that like abundance coded rhetoric, right? He still wants to like deregulate and cut the red tape and stuff like that. Right? So while he does have good policies, like it's still, I think that that's not indicative of like how he's going to legislate. Right? But I won't spend too much more time on this. So yeah, he's still tech bro. It still will benefit the developers and the rich people. And I will say, ain't it crazy that you have two California centimillionaires and billionaires running, and I still got to pay for my student loans? Ain't that crazy? I want to know what are your thoughts on student loan cancellation, bro? Show me student loans. Student loans. Tuition-free college. Real relief for the millions of Americans saddled with the student debt. Nearly 43 million people, 1 in 6 Americans, have federal student loan debt. Roughly a quarter of these borrowers are significantly behind in their payments or in default. Congress has the authority to amend or waive these terms of the federal student loans through the new legislation. It has the moral responsibility to act quickly to provide debt relief for struggling Americans. I support That is how you spell it. My Jesus Louise, my freaking this font hurts my eyes. I support legislation to provide comprehensive debt relief to low. All right, you're right. I can't just zoom in. I support legislation. I'm pretty sure that's how you spell it. I spelled correctly. No, it's not. I knew it wasn't spelled correctly. It's spelled wrong. I was like, okay, I knew it was weird. I was like, what? I think that's correct. But I was like, that doesn't look right though. I was like, this is how you know nobody ever reads policy pages. This is how you know nobody ever reads policy pages, bro. Anyway, that's not even the real beef that I had. I support legislation to provide comprehensive debt relief to low-income Americans. 0% interest rate, 0% interest rates on all federal student loans, and removing student loan debt defaults from credit scores. You're like, okay, this sounds good or whatever. No, this is actually. Are you high income? No, I'm not particularly high income, but gosh darn it, I want all student loans debt canceled. All of it. I don't care who got it or where it's from. Remove it all. We don't need any of it, bro. This is actually, I think, worse than Joe Biden's plan. This is worse than what Joe Biden promised for student loan cancellation. He didn't do it, but it is worse. It's not as good. This is less progressive than like what Joe Biden was acknowledging and planning to do.
I live
So,
like a capitalist every single day.
then we'll think of it for 34 months.
I live when I believe.
Limbo Tracy just subscribed.
Anyway, my biggest beef, going back to it, is all these freaking rich people running on the Democratic progressive ticket, but I still have my gosh darn student loans. You know what I mean? They're throwing $1 bajillion into their own campaigns, but they can't pay for my student loans? Racism. Racism, racism, racism. Anyway, I'm not covering this. What's it called? San Francisco race. I think Saikat should hit out "I'm sorry" real quick, and that's it. That's my take. I still agree with this. I don't really care about abundance.
My God-given gift was that
His anniversary of the move bombing. There has to be a better word for anniversary that doesn't have like a positive connotation. Anniversary? No, it's still positive. Too positive. What was I looking for? Did y'all see the okay, did y'all see the clip? Oh, remembers. I like that better. Commemoration's decent as well. I like Remembrance Day. Memorial's more like a place than a day, unfortunately. Day of Remembrance. What am I looking for? I forgot. I don't remember. He was never deceptive. Oh, for Abdul, yeah. I mean, this is obviously like a dumb smear campaign from the Mallory McCrow side.
I'm actually often asked if I'm even a real doctor. That's up for debate, I guess. When I ran for governor, an enterprising journalist wrote an article. El-Sayed touts his doctor credentials, but he never practiced medicine. And it's true. I've never practiced medicine. That wasn't always the plan, though. After all, I don't think anyone plans to memorize
Dang,
thousands.
bro. You can go to med school and you'll still have somebody you're telling you you're not a real doctor. You didn't even do your residency. I don't like that.
Of PowerPoint slides, listen to hundreds of lectures at 3 times speed, or show up to pre-round at 5 a.m. because they don't intend to practice medicine. Like I'm sure many of you graduating here today, I always wanted to be a doctor. I love science, the exactitude of the thing, the fact that every question has an answer even if you don't yet know it. The fact that through rigorous research, we can discover it. And I love people. There's nothing more interesting than fellow humans. From the grand scale of the social organizations that we build to the little nuances that make us the unique individuals that all of us are. Medicine, I thought, was the juxtaposition of the two. Social work meets physiological engineering. But more than that, I've always believed deeply in the profound power of a doctor, that incredible power to heal. I believe it was handed to me by my paternal grandmother, my Teta Soad, a woman who lived her life.
We won't watch the entire 11 minutes, but like, yeah, it's sure never practiced medicine. I don't think it's spelled correctly either. He said to a master gathering of people in a public place. You don't understand, Chad. You don't understand. He's a fake doctor, not a real doctor. Mick Monroe's team put out their hit piece on Blue Sky and they're getting dueled and whooped. Turns out Abdul El-Sayed misrepresented over and over again being a physician. He's not the truth. He never had a medical license, never did residency, never passed his boards. He's an MD who decided to pursue a career in public health where he is a well-cited academic professor and policymaker. You can report this post to Blue Sky for misleading or containing false information about an election. I encourage everyone to do so since they're literally lying. Dang. Or just beef for like Dr. Fauci, you know what I mean? Nobody called Dr. Fauci like a fake doctor. Well, actually, to be fair, Marjorie Taylor Greene did. So. Turns I'm really mad at the other post is. I want to see what the ratio is. 297 quotes? Oh, L. Absolutely tons of people did. I mean, obviously, but like sane, normal people. I lived in Michigan for many years and have a ton of respect for Mick Monroe, but you're quickly burning through that respect. You're burning through that respect quickly with this. This is a massive misrepresentation. Public health is essentially a component of healthcare, and he is indeed an MD. I wonder what they think MD stands for. I'm not sure I see the misrepresentation here. He's never had a medical license, never did residency, never passed the boards. It's all true. He never claimed that to have any of that. He disclosed it repeatedly. Yeah. He's literally an MD, PhD, Rhodes Scholar. Valley, you're underwater by 77 points among young voters. Maybe focus on that. No, she shouldn't focus on that. She should read the writing on the wall. She should stay in to split Stevens voters. See, this person's actually wrong. This person's actually wrong. Mallory is not splitting Stevens voters. Stevens is splitting Mallory voters. And that's even funnier. Like, she's losing her voters to Haley Stevens. That's the funniest part. Like she's not even the vote splitter. Like, she's the person whose vote is being splitted against. And that is hilarious. They should both stay in for the girl bosses. Yeah. I saw the Emma tweet. It was hilarious. It's like people are trying to force Mallory McCrow to drop out. I think that they shouldn't drop out, actually. They should both stay in. They should both stay in. I support women in politics. And I agree. I agree. I have not seen this clip. Also, knowing that it's by Oxenox, it's going to be a pro Steyer clip. Because I know Oxenox is one of the people on Twitter who's like super pro Steyer. Xavier Becerra, the California governor candidate, in an odd interview with KTLA 5, repeatedly insists the interviewer not ask only tough questions. This is not a gotcha piece, right? So long as it's about the profile. I don't know how you define a profile. We like to begin an interview. That's what hilarious.
This is the start of our interview with Javier Becerra in Highland Park.
By the way, this is a profile piece. This is not a gotcha piece, right?
Well, look, I think these questions are fair. It's in order to learn about you as a candidate.
So long as it's about the profile.
I don't know how you define profile, but I'd like to begin the interview.
The way I describe profile is you talk about all the things that I've done, things I want to do, and along with some tough questions. But not only tough questions.
Bro, California politics is a clown show, bro. California politics is a clown show. hurting y'all. That's rough. Doing this at my next job interview. Right back.
This is the start of our interview with Javier Becerra in Highland Park.
By the way, this is a profile piece. This is not a gotcha piece, right?
Well, look, I think these questions are fair. It's in order to learn about you as a candidate.
So long as it's about the profile.
I don't know how you define profile, but I'd like to begin the interview.
The way I describe profile is you talk about all the things that I've done, things I want to do, and along with some tough questions. But not only tough questions.
This is the start of our interview.
It's so funny. Bro, what is going on with freaking politicians? This is the New Jersey 07 debate. Tina Shaw, Israel is our strongest ally. I do not support conditioning aid to Israel.
It is so hard to watch. People are getting killed. People are furthermore dealing with this humanitarian crisis. There's famine. There's lack of access to basic medical care. This is what Prime Minister Netanyahu has done. Now, I don't think that should change our relationship with the country because of one prime minister, and that's why I don't support conditioning aid. It's time that the entire global community steps up so that we can get to a two-state solution as fast as possible for peace. It is so hard to watch.
Not enough booze. Not enough booze, I'm telling you. Not even one boo. No tomatoes being thrown. Is it uncouth? Is it uncouth to throw tomatoes? Untoward even? True. Yo, where are the hisses at? Yeah, I'm from Yale. How'd you know? How could you tell? Clear, they were the prime. Anyway, we're gonna actually take a slight break away from politics real quick. To talk about Wasians. Have y'all seen the Wasian Discourse? Hold on. Where's the main video? Also, y'all see the cut video with the lady who was like, "How dare you? How dare you watch pornography?" And she actually ended up being like cheating on him. That was. I saw the discourse around that, and I was just like, "Yeah, that's exactly what I expect from the cut." That is exactly what I expect from the cut. But let's start with the Wasian stuff first.
We need to have a serious conversation about Wasians. So
I did not see the Pap Smear Discourse. That did not hit my timeline. Technically not cheating because they're in a situationship, but it's dog water. But like, then why have beef with like what he's doing if you're not in a relationship? You know what I mean? That's what doesn't make any sense to me. Because it's the cut. Yeah, that's true. And let's start with this first.
Okay, there's a Wasian meetup in New York today. There's a party full with like 3,000 people. I'm meeting up with some of my friends and we're gonna go see the Wasian meetup. I'm coming out of the subway and I already found other Wasians. Other Wasians I found. Hello. Yay! We just saw the big clump. It's bigger than you think it is going to be.
Okay, maybe this isn't 3,000 people, but it's a lot of Wasians, okay? And I know all of them. I was trying to take this video to show how many people there were, and then my friend Zach just showed up out of nowhere.
Dude, I literally just...
Everyone had name tags on with their mix, so we made it to the front to get some name tags.
Should we write Asian Dad? Yeah.
Yes, it's true, we're both Asian Dad Wasians. Yes, of course we put it on our name tags and proudly displayed it. Then the organizers started some announcements. They did a roll call to see which types of Wasians there were, which of course showed out for Asian Dad. Also at the name tag station, there was a Wasian bingo, which was cute. You could meet other Wasians that like would check off your bingo list. And then the organizers started the lookalike contest for famous Wasians. So Keanu Reeves, Alyssa Liu, Bruno Mars. Solveig and I both entered the lookalike contest. She entered for Leve because she's also Icelandic. And then I entered for Lola Tung because someone at the Soho American Eagle once told me that. But I guess that was not enough because I did not win.
Bingo, you guys!
After all the lookalike contests, it was just hanging out in the park. A lot of people had brought signs. They were really fun to see, whether they were printed out or homemade. I realized I'd never been in a room full of Wasian people before, and it was really nice to see so many people together and really have this feeling of community. So shout out to the organizers for this super fun event. Shout out to the super cool people I met yesterday. And as always, shout out to the Kingdom of Wasia.
So, this has led to some discourse.
We need to have a serious conversation about Wasians. So this past weekend, an event was hosted, marketed as a Wasian meetup, with hundreds of half-white, half-Asian people coming to attend and compete in lookalike contests of numerous Wasian celebrities. On the surface, this is completely harmless and a fun idea. However, the people that started this event are part of an organization called Half Asia Spring. Half Asia Spring, in their own words on their Instagram, said that their mission is to create half-Asian meetups around the United States. However, every single video posted to this account only mentions Wasians. Every single flyer only...
Don't worry. They'll get to the Blasians eventually. They'll get to the other mixes eventually, at some point in the future. At some point, maybe, eventually.
Mentions Wasians. It's only marketed as a Wasian meetup. So that begs the question, why are you marketing an inclusive mixed Asian community gathering when it's centered only around white mixed Asian people? It is currently API month and we are celebrating all Asian identities, but it's been apparently clear that this year has had the most spotlight.
Like, not to be like Omega woke here, but like it is basically essentially white supremacy centric. Because if you think about it like this, right? Think about it like this. If you separate the identity, white and Asian, Asia is a continent. There are a lot of identities in there, which means that the only similarity between all of these people would be the white part. You know what I mean? So it is just white supremacy 2.0. It's revamped white supremacy. It's just like... Caroline said this. Oh, Caroline's right. She's correct. Because that's what it is. And that's a tad bit strange for the Wasian meetup. It's not the, half Asian meetup. It's not the mixed with Asian heritage meetup. It's a Wasian meetup specifically, which basically means that if you're not white, you're not invited. Honestly, it's honestly even more inclusive than just being an all-white meetup. Because like, even if you're Asian, you're still not invited because you don't have that white part of you. You know what I mean? They're like, sorry, you're full Chinese. You can't come. You have no white in you. Do we not see how that's kind of crazy? And they're checking you at the door to make sure you have white heritage. They're like, all right. You have to prove you have white heritage. There's a lot of Asian countries, so like you could be from any of those, but like you have to at least prove that you have white heritage to be a Wasian specifically. And it's just a little strange. It's a little strange.
On the Wasian identity, a term coined to refer to someone with one white parent and one Asian parent. We have talented athletes and performers like Alyssa Liu, Leve, Hudson Williams, Charles Melton, and so on. And we've seen Wasian surge to the top.
Also, is her name pronounced Leve? I've never heard her name pronounced. I've only seen it written. I did not think it was pronounced like that.
Culture. We've even seen Wasians being solely represented in our media, such as Leve's music video for Mad Women, which includes many of these Wasian celebrities, which I just listed. On one hand...
I know, I learned, I watched the other video. Have you seen Laffy? I've not been saying anything. I've just been like... And nice girl.
It makes me really happy, and it's
I
genuinely.
don't particularly. Labia doesn't come up in my normal day-to-day conversations. So
Beautiful to see people with Asian heritage succeed and be openly celebrated in the mainstream. The AAPI community is very broad, and there's so many unique cultures that encapsulate the API identity. On the other hand, it does leave a weird taste in my mouth that I really haven't been able to articulate until I saw this meetup. So a little backstory. My dad immigrated from Taiwan, and my mom was born of Canton Peruvian descent in LA. So no, I've never felt quite understood in my cultural identity nor my place in American culture. So I can relate on some fronts to Asians who are seeking out a community of people who've had similar upbringings. But it's also given me a unique view on Asian American identity politics and how whiteness is constantly centered in so many of our conversations. Black Asians and Hispanic Asians are never acknowledged in the mainstream the way that white mixed Asians are. And this meeting has highlighted just how out of touch the sentiment around mixed Asian identity is. The Asian
and Black Asians also have a cool and punchy name, Blasians. It's right there. There's also a cool and punchy name with that, like Wasians. You know, where's the love? Where's the love?
American identity is inherently rooted in being assimilated into the American identity while celebrating and preserving our own Asian heritage. So this feeling of not belonging isn't exclusive to Wasian people. This meeting was not grounded in any specific cultural identity, but aesthetic. Wasian is a broad term that encompasses all Asian cultures that have been mixed. Aki Lee Camargo, a journalist, makes a great point in an essay published to a Substack, and he states, Wasianness is hollow because it isn't rooted in anything beyond phenotype. There is no shared history, no cultural heritage that exists independently of the way they look. He goes even farther by saying, if Wasian identity begins and ends with aesthetics, that's eugenics. So we need to acknowledge the elephant in the room, that Wasian privilege does exist. It's extension of white privilege. There is a socioeconomic advantage that comes from having a white parent. Not always the case, but having a parent who is white comes with inherent perks. Not only that, but Wasians also fit the Eurocentric beauty standards. Wasians are often seen as more palatable to Western media than mono-ethnic Asian features. We constantly see this in popular TV shows, which cast Wasian actors as the leads.
He's correct, but you don't even have to go that far. It's just the whiteness aspect of it, right? It's just like your proximity to whiteness, right, is what associates you with that privilege itself. Right? And Wasians are just closer and have a closer proximity to whiteness than than like anybody who doesn't have any white heritage. This is just reheating the H-bar discourse. Not really, because the H-bar discourse involved Black people, like, I think directly, kind of. No. I'm thinking about Black people who were brought up unintentionally with the H-bar discourse. Because somehow the H-bar discourse brought up Black people for no reason. I don't know what happened with that. But I guess it is kind of similar. Even all the beauty pageant winners in the Philippines are usually Asian, nearly white-skinned. It's crazy. Every H-bar discourse is about white people infiltrating Asian spaces. Yeah, but I just remember Black people being brought up somehow. I don't remember how it was, but I remember because I saw a Black TikTok being like, why are we getting brought up into this? You know what I mean? Always brought up, yeah. I did see a video of a guy trying to do the Chud the Builder thing, which y'all are lucky that I haven't brought up Chud the Builder yet. But he got beat up, and it was funny. I remember Black folks were watching. Or maybe that's what it was.
Fully Asian leads. Proximity to whiteness is a comfort to general Western audiences, so Wasianness is often preferred over Asianness. Even in the Asian community, Wasians are constantly praised for their Eurocentric looks, which is unfortunately a product of internal colorism and racism within our own community. To clarify, I'm not hating on anybody because of their ethnic identity, nor do I condone others to do so. I just want to raise some red flags of why we collectively center whiteness in the Asian community and exclude Black and brown mixed Asians in these conversations. I would like to reiterate that Wasians are 100% part of the Asian community and should be celebrated like the rest of us. But where is the support for Blasians and Hispasians? Why doesn't it ever extend
that's a
past
sick name too. I will not comment on where I think the validity of the names are and like how cool they are in comparisons to to Asians. I just think that those are cool days.
We need to have caution about how we approach these things in the future because it demeans and excludes other parts of our community. If we want to dismantle the racism and hatred against our own community, we need to start addressing these tough conversations internally. Happy API month.
Yeah, how many people deliberately misunderstood their message? I don't know. This is true, though. This is true and correct. I mean, we're seeing pretty well. We've got 47,000 likes.
We need to have a...
Right, but like, it is a little bit strange. Nobody, I mean, obviously nobody thought of like, maybe it would be strange to like not include other like half Asian mixed people into this discussion. Only Wasians, which essentially is just being like, this is a whites only meetup, isn't it? Another round War Powers resolution was just struck down, 50 to 49. Fetterman was a deciding vote. Don't show this to me, please. The concepts of Asians being considered half Asian. Mind you, she's one of the hosts of the Wasian meetup. Stop. Interesting is all East Asian and white. No other half Asians besides white. No half South Asians. No half South Asians. There were other folks that were half South Asian too. We had Blasian, Gaysian, etc. I love that, bro. Like half gay, half Asian. Wait, is that like just somebody who is gay and Asian, or somebody with a gay parent? You have like one gay parent, and what? Like, how does that work? I'm confused. I need someone to explain this to me, because like that's not usually how that term is used. Do you have one gay parent? No, it can't be both. Don't chat. You don't understand. It can't be both. This is a half Asian meetup. So it's just like one parent. You have one gay Asian parent and one maybe gay non-Asian parent, or one straight Asian parent. That's all. Okay, I need someone to explain the. I think Asians are just gay Asians. I mean, obviously it's just gay Asians, but like it's so funny to put that in the conversation of half Asians. Like, why are gay Asians considered half Asians? How does that make any sense? That's hilarious. I'm sorry. That's so funny. That's so funny. I'm half Asian, half gay. I can't. What is that? I don't even know what that means. I don't know what I was expecting. I did not expect that. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. But if you're Wasian and half gay, what then? I don't know, bro. Ask the organizer of this event. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, that's the Wasian discourse that's happening, I guess. Apparently also, Colossus is getting to, it's coming to Marvel Rivals, which we will be playing tomorrow because I'm tired today. This is the white supremacy Asia variant. Yes. Existential crisis over gay Asians. Just over how this is used, you know what I mean? We will be playing it tomorrow, though. I have to test it to make sure that it actually works. Also, did y'all see Neon being on like a complex hip hop list or whatever? For some deeper lore about Wasian meetups being set up by Partyful, which is a bunch of former Palantir employees. I think Partyful is just an Eventbrite. It's a platform for hosting events. I'm pretty sure. I don't think it's a hoster themselves. In case you're asking, yes, I do get invited to parties. So, how is also Ani hasn't streamed in a year? I mean, honestly, respect. Kai never drops his clothing line, just retires. He's made like $1 bajillion. Why not? And we won't watch the entire 15 video. We'll maybe watch it tomorrow. I want to call this today. Here. He's making money offline, by the way. Yeah, people are still subscribed to him. But I will be back on my second channel playing Magic the Gathering at some point eventually. But I'm tired right now. And I'm going to go lay down. Oh, also, I applied for my... I registered for my classes, chat. I registered for my classes. Tell me why in grad school I have 3 classes. 9 credit hours is full time. I did finally get my email. What's the schedule? I have 1 class on Tuesday from 5:10 to 7:30. 1 class on Thursday from 2:30 to 5. And then 1 class on Thursday from 5 to 7:30. So I have 5 hours of classes on Thursdays. But my Mondays are free, my Wednesdays are free, my Fridays are free. I hate evening classes. I am the opposite. Oh, so you can still stream? Y'all just want me to stay. Plenty of time to stream. I'll be streaming on my second channel. What are you studying? Political science. I'm getting my master's degree. And please, oh please, for the love of everything, please subscribe. If you have a Twitch Prime, I beg of you to use it. I will at least be streaming on my second channel. I will be streaming on my second channel. I'll be taking every single sponsorship they offer me on my second channel. Because school is expensive.
Cadenza 23 just subscribed.
Just make this the second channel. That's not happening. Have you streamed your second channel yet? Yes, I have. I actually have streamed on my second channel. Sub here, second channel. Well, I'm still streaming here for now. So, sub here for sure. I get 70% of subs here. Cadenza, thank you for the 31 months. And sort of something for the 5 get the subs as well. You have more followers here, just change the content. I'm not doing that. That's not happening. I will be streaming on my second channel. Talk about Twitch or YouTube? On Twitch. We're gonna be doing gaming and stuff. Sean John, thank you for the 5 get the subs. Hey, I have the same name. Spelled correctly though. But think about if I get it, we actually hit the sub goal of 870. What will happen to this channel? I don't know. Maybe I'll stream on it, maybe not. But I will be streaming on my second channel. We'll be doing gaming and stuff there. Right? I will max out the ads and I will be doing gaming at night. There. Why the stream separation? Because it will pull out my numbers here if I stream gaming and stuff here. So you might still get streams here. Catholic channel, no. Because I have 2 sponsorships left to do. Because I get paid more for sponsorships technically. But if I get my numbers on my second channel up to like 100, I'll get like $100 per sponsorship, but I'll just spam them out. 1 sponsorship a week, that's $400 a week, which means that it's $400 a month, which means that in 4 months of school, that's $1,400. No. $1,600. I can't read. I can't math. And then I can put that towards my tuition. And maybe I'll keep streaming here. You read Birthday Cards on my second channel? No. Maybe I'll read it for my birthday this year. Who knows? Anyway, I just want to play some Magic. Who wants to play Commander, bro? I want to play some Commander. I already have my deck. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful deck. I want to see my Commander deck. Hold on. I'll go get it. I'm a standard loser. Which Commander? Hold on. I'll show it to you when I go grab it.
People are attracted to me. People just naturally gravitate towards me. My circle of influence started growing. So natural.
Today, we're investigating one of the hardest cases of my career, a $300 million private equity company called Goliath Ventures, where the CEO was taking private planes, buying Rolls Royces, expensive mansions, while claiming that the whole thing was audited, backed 115%. They even took retiree money. I mean, what could go wrong? And when I was called to investigate them 6 months ago, I really had no idea what I was stepping into. Little did I know, this would be one of the toughest cases of my career.
I'm back. Ow. Like my Silicon Commander box I bought. It opens up like this. This is my Commander. It's A-Lee. A-Lee. It's a white and black deck. That's right. My deck is mixed. My deck is Logic. Indeed, indubitably. It's more time building decks and actually playing. More ECKs are probably bracket 1 or 2, maybe 2. I know what some of that stuff means. Like what is dastardly? I used to use my Unity printers to make 1,000 practice decks in a day. LOL. Red and blue or green and blue. Ill. You know what my least favorite color is? Red. I hate red decks. They suck. The order I like, of colors I like. White. Green. Red. Blue. No, sorry. White, green, black, blue, red. What is my least favorite? Hashtag woke. Blue black always my favorite. First white people before black, you heard it. Who said people? Not I. Where do you get your card? I mean, get into Magic. Honestly, you can get your card from your local game store, or where did I get? I got the starter collection from Amazon. And then whenever my parents go to like Walmart, I make them pick me up a pack or two. You know, I just open up the pack. Yeah. It's a great place to buy cards. They don't Union Bus like TGC Player. What? TGC Player Union Bus? I thought about making a second channel. So like basically a fourth channel on YouTube where I make Magic the Gathering content while talking about how Wizards of the Coast keeps Union busting their union. And I bring leftist politics to Magic the Gathering. I also used to be a magician. I used to do card tricks and stuff. I don't have any cards near me though. Well, I do have the cards actually. Card Kingdom, I think, is working with a union. W. Get you a paid Star City or Channel Fireball writing spot. Whatever exists nowadays, people still reading content. What is Channel Fireball? Okay. Get me on Tolarian Community College's Shuffle Up and Plays. They got freaking Point Crow. Get me on there. Let me cook with my freaking commander deck. They're probably the most popular customer service worker, and they use her name for the AI chatbot. I'm not lying. What? That sounds insane. Bro, more drama to look into. Oh, it's Mr. Murphy for 33 months, by the way. Hey, should I just play some Magic right now, actually? On my second channel? Thank you all for watching, chat. Bye, YouTube chat. Goodbye.